tomorrow?
I'm off tomorrow too.
You said you were working
No,
Friday.
I thought you said you were working and I was off.
No, you... Excuse me.
Well, anyway, I'm off next week.
That's why you're doing your
so-
Friday panel now today. Or your Thursday Friday panel.
Yeah.
On a Thursday.
But I'm off next week.
Good.
You're going to miss me?
No. I will, kinda. But your Donald's great.
No, it's not mean me as a person.
Oh, that's your... See, no, you know...
You're so horribly honest. Get
I'll
out of
say
here.
the truth. Yeah, I'll miss you a wee bit.
All right, good luck.
Good luck.
All right, thank you very much indeed. That is Lee Gooch. He is back with you on... Is Monday bank holiday?
Tuesday.
You're back Tuesday. Right, he's back Tuesday. We have, as I say, we have a great Friday panel for you on a Thursday. That's coming up for you very shortly. But let's at 9 o'clock get an update on the news. And it's good morning now to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Funds which should have been used to build around 4,000 social and affordable housing units went unspent in recent years. Figures obtained by Sinn Féin show that almost €1 billion intended to be used to provide affordable homes wasn't used between 2020 and 2022. The Department of Housing is blaming the halting of building during COVID-19 lockdowns as one of the primary reasons for the underspend. But Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson, Eoin O'Brien, says if that was the reason, the same problem wouldn't have arisen last year.
No, COVID-19 is not the main cause of this underspend. If it was the case, and last year the underspend would have fallen dramatically because the COVID pandemic obviously was over. The very opposite is the fact. In fact, last year was the largest underspend, and it's continuing into this year, according to the latest figures from the Department of Finance. Darrell O'Brien is very good at blaming everybody else for the housing crisis, where in fact he is the minister.
The Rural Independent Group says planning laws on restrictions to log cabins should be relaxed. They want to see families with their own land be allowed to build log cabins for housing. TD Matty McGrath says it could help many who are facing homelessness lower the waiting lists and present options for those not on the housing list. He wants a temporary change to the planning laws.
Many of these people aren't on the housing list or wouldn't qualify, and they're prepared to, not look for a house but build their own house. So it makes perfect sense that the regulations and the stringent laws around, building houses, plannings are relaxed for 5 to 10 years to allow people to construct these.
Improvement works on the A2 Buncrana Road in Derry are to be delayed pending the preparation of a new regional transport plan. The North Department for Infrastructure says it's fully committed to progressing the road improvement scheme, but has decided to pause it until the Northwest Transport Plan is ready. Developments at Fort George and Pennyburn Roundabout will not be affected. Some politicians refused to engage with other participants in the talks leading up to the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. The deal was struck 25 years ago. Many of those who took part in discussions have been reflecting on the efforts to reach a deal. The agreement saw Sinn Féin take part in talks that involved unionist parties for the first time. And the Sinn Féin's Jerry Kelly says for some unionists, that was a step too far.
They used to in the corridor, and I would always talk to them. We had a habit of it, and just say hello, And they would, some of them would actually walk to the wall and walk past me facing the wall. But look, that's the unfortunate thing. That's just a sign of what there was at the time.
Weather forecast and Met Éireann tell us it'll be a bright and largely dry day with sunny spells and just some isolated showers. Top temperatures 9 or 10 degrees Celsius in a light to moderate northwesterly breeze. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
It's not just that Sarah can't rely on the rains to come this year. It's not just that the only water left could cost her life. It's not just that she has seen all her crops destroyed and she is struggling to feed her little boy. Like thousands of parents living in regions devastated by drought, Sarah is living in fear, and it's not just. This Lent, your help can make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Trocra. Together for a just world.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning, and you're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. It is 5 minutes past 9 on Thursday, the 6th of April, 2023. And we've brought our Friday panel forward today because the show's not on air tomorrow because it is Good Friday, of course. Before I introduce them to you, just to remind you that we want your views and comments as well. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Emails come into us at Highland Radio radio.com. And if you want to watch the show, hop onto YouTube or Facebook or our website and you can watch us live there and interact with us there as well. Okay, let's say good morning to our panel now. Firstly, we say hi to Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, a community campaigner. Good morning to you, Katie. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, you're muted, Katie.
Good morning, Greg.
And
Good
you're
morning.
here. How are you getting on? Why at this time of the morning would you give me that blood rush to my head? Okay, good to have you with us. Michael White's chair of the Green Party in Donegal as well. Good morning to you, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you on board as always. And joining us in studio is Claudia Kennedy, teacher and Fianna Fáil Deputy Chair of the Fianna Fáil CDC. A very good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us, Claudia. Good to have you with us.
Good morning, Greg. Great to be here.
Yeah, indeed. It's good to have you with us. Right, okay. Quick one on President Biden, maybe. We'll see how it goes. He's not visiting Donegal, despite our best speculation. We didn't manage to convince or coerce him to do so. But he is coming over. He'll visit Ireland from the 11th to the 14th of April. Mr. Biden will make a public address in Mayo next week to celebrate the deep historic ties, the White House confirmed. His visit to Northern Ireland will mark the tremendous progress since the signing of the Good Friday Agreement 25 years ago, the White House added. Mr. Biden will also visit the Republic to discuss close cooperation on shared global challenges, though he seems to have his own problems with China at the moment. Anyway, be that as it may, all going well. If it does go ahead, obviously there are some concerns over the health of former President Carter. Is this still a big deal for Ireland in your view, Claudia?
I think it's hugely significant. He's here to mark a historical commemoration of the Good Friday Agreement 25 years on. And when we look back at that as a historical moment, it just shows how politics can work for the positive, where everybody came together across the island of all political creeds, and indeed the influence of George Mitchell and President Bill Clinton. So I think having President Biden here is very significant, and it may just help the Assembly and to get Stormont back up and working. I'm sure his influence will be very positive. And just watching the news yesterday and seeing the excitement and positivity in Ballina, it was really uplifting. And I think in this day and age, we need those positive stories. And it was interesting to note that he had been in Ireland in 2016 as Vice President and had returned again in 2017 in Ballina. So he is very committed to the country. And again, he's talking about the future plan of Northern Ireland and strengthening those ties between Ireland and America. And particularly, our Taoiseach spoke about working together on global issues, particularly that of cybersecurity. So I think it's very significant and very positive and must be welcomed.
Katie, do you share that enthusiasm?
Sorry.
Do you?
As with the visit of President Obama and the visit with Queen Elizabeth, we just don't have the money, Greg. The cost of security is just unbelievable. And the crisis the cost of living crisis at the moment that we're in, is President Biden's visit going to affect Joe Bloggs on the street, who is struggling?
Yeah, but let's conversely, let me put it to you like this. Is spending money on hosting Joe Biden or not going to affect Joe Public on the street? Either way, it doesn't really affect Joe Public, does it? But perhaps maybe there's a positive dividend down the line.
But one of the reasons why we keep being told that we can't do, reduce waiting times in A&E, we can't do this, we can't do that, is because we have no money. But there obviously is money if we can pay for state visits.
I'm not really quite sure that's. I mean, listen, we've $1.5 billion underspend in housing. I think it's not. It's more about how the money's being spent, rather than whether it's there or not. No.
The other thing is, as well, is in terms of President Biden leaving the US. There's big things going on in the US. We've got the Trump situation. I think we're off looking at his times trying to come up with emergency gun laws, to be honest. But I'm not anti-Joe Biden at all. Listen, no one was more delighted that he got elected to the White House, let me tell you. But I just think it's the wrong time. I think, things are really bad at the moment. And I think spending unnecessary money on state visits is just not the way to go at the moment.
All right, I'll bring Michael in a second. Do you want a quick comeback on that? Claudia?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to recognise the amount of foreign direct investment from American companies, indeed within Donegal and Ireland. And if you look at the exchequer and the returns on the bumper budget that we had for 2023...
Claudia, we're heading into an interesting space here again, right, where I accept exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
But that's not we don't feel that. You know what I mean? The general population aren't feeling that. What we're feeling is high levels of poverty. We are feeling a problematic GP service, health service generally, difficulties in housing, people with no roofs over their head, people being thrown out of their houses. You see, I understand exactly where you're coming from when you start talking about foreign direct investment and all that, right? But maybe that's for the top tier, top 5 or 10%, or maybe we need to look at the bigger picture and say, no, the whole country does benefit, if not directly. But people don't feel that. It's not an argument that's going to win anyone over, Claudia.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, what about those employees in those American companies today, Greg? Are you saying that their wages is not contributing to the economy and paying bills and helping them to survive? Let's just look across the water and what's happening in the UK and the mess that their economy is in at the moment. Of course, there are challenges around housing and health, absolutely. However, the foreign direct investment from American companies is really significant for this government and for funding, and to have that available funds to say, well, where will we spend the money?
Put it in a rainy day fund, 6 billion. Seems to be the solution to all the corporation tax.
Well, let's be honest. We've just come through a pandemic. We're in an inflation crisis. Who knows what's going to be around the corner? I would call that prudent. If we look back to what happened in the last recession, we didn't have a rainy day fund. We've seen what happened and how people suffered dreadfully. But it's sticking on point with the American visit of the American president, Joe Biden. Foreign direct investment in this country is really significant. And in one other point I would make, Greg, we have a very talented young workforce that these companies come here for to create employment. And that's really important from a social structure point of view as well. So I would be very hesitant to be so dismissive of foreign direct investment. And for the employees in those companies around Donegal, I would say they would really disagree with your point there, Greg.
I am looking at Michael White here, and I'm not sure if I can imagine him clutching an American flag and waving it on a sodden Mayo footpath. So I wait with great interest to see how excited he is or not for this visit. Michael White, good morning to you again. What do you think about it?
I think it's great, Greg. Like my business, like a number of other businesses, does business in the US, but there's a number of reasons. It's not just economic. There's a few big reasons. Like 30 million Americans claim Irish descent. There's about, I think, 200,000 people in Ireland employed by American companies, but there's also about 150,000 Americans employed by Irish companies, which is something most people don't realize. We employ nearly as many people over there as they employ here. So there's all those economic ties. There's emotional and cultural ties that kind of gets, everybody's talking about pounds, shillings and pence in this kind of conversation, but that thing about 30 million Americans, there was a great article at the weekend about Grace Kelly and the impact she had. People forget the level of anti-Irishness in the culture in the mid-20th century, in Britain particularly, but also there's a lingering anti-Irishness in some parts of the States. You hear stories of the Kennedys not being allowed to join certain clubs in Boston. Grace Kelly was excluded from some society gatherings in Philadelphia. That changed during the 50s, 60s and 70s. People like Grace Kelly, who were iconic to a previous generation, JFK, that had a big significance in developing the level of confidence that Ireland as a modern nation has. So those cultural ties are really important. And then as your other contributor,
Claudia,
mentioned Claudia, the impact they had on the Good Friday Agreement. The Good Friday Agreement wouldn't have happened. Now, in my view, wouldn't have happened without John Hume in the first place, but also then he managed to engage the Americans. He's one of the main reasons the Americans became so engaged. So it wouldn't have happened without Bill Clinton and the consistent focus they've had. And it's incredible, no other country of our size, people would crawl over broken glass if you were Austria or the Netherlands or Sweden to get the kind of access and attention that we get from the US. It's fantastic. So there's a cultural and emotional reasons, but then in practical terms, looking forward, we're still going to need their help. The Northern Ireland issue isn't sorted, as we can see. The protocol agreements come through, the DUP are staying out. There's still a lot of uncertainty about how
it could be in May yet, though. It seems, it seems it could be wobbling a little bit on that. I take your points, though, of course. So, Katie, excuse me, is it possible then that I understand that if you are the type of a person that kind of is just peed off with the way things are, I'm not talking about you. I mean, yeah, the generic you, and you're faced with the realities of everyday life. that maybe anything like St. Patrick's Day trips or state visits seems like a waste of money and is always going to be a Is it possible, Katie, that maybe, you know, people are conditioned to sort of have that reaction rather than looking, as I said earlier, at the bigger picture?
I think some people are conditioned because they can't look beyond, because they can't see the bigger picture, because the problems in the small picture are so huge that encompasses their thinking. You know, and I would say that that's possibly one of the reasons why I can't see the bigger picture, because I'm waiting on, I've been waiting on 3 different health appointments for the kids, and and that's why I can't see the bigger picture. That could possibly be it. I'm always a bigger picture thinker, but I just don't think it's the right time. I really don't. I've never in my lifetime, and you've got to remember, I grew up in Thatcher's Britain as well, so that wasn't pleasant. I've never seen a cost of living crisis like this at the moment. You know, I went to the shop yesterday and something I bought 2 weeks ago, the cost of it has actually gone up 25%. Yeah,
and again, just to reference, Claudia, recent figures show that it seems the people we've been so loyal to, a lot of these companies we've been so loyal to, seem to be profiteering a little bit through this crisis and driving up the prices of food. Food was expected to come down, but it seems they're making more profits than ever, and that's what's driving 2/3 of the inflationary effect of the cost of food. It'd be nice to see the government sort of maybe intervene in that regard.
Well, just to be specific, you're talking about American.
No, sorry, I'm talking about your local shops now. They're making record profits, and their profits normally account for about 1/3 of inflation. Now it's 2/3 of inflation. So it's not because of the price of grain that Katie's last purchase has gone up through the roof. It seems that it's just another section of society that's profiteering off our backs.
There was a very interesting documentary on this a couple of weeks ago, and it was looking at the cost of food specifically, and that we have become very used of cheap food over the past 20 years, and that's due to the competition between the Aldis and the Lidls and all the different supermarkets. And in many ways, we've become very spoilt and expected this is the norm. And a lot of economics that came on is that that's not realistic long term around food security. We know the war in Ukraine is influencing that.
Just with respect again, I can't change the type of person that I am and not sort of intervene in this point, if you don't mind. But seriously, are you saying that we've been spoilt by cheap food prices? Like, food is an essential thing to survive, and the less money you have, the more difficult it is to obtain. Who sat there and made an argument that we are spoilt and that maybe we need to get used to? I mean, no company lost any money, over the last while. Not all these companies are mega rich. They're making huge profits. So what do you mean we're spoiled? Or what do they mean we're spoiled?
If you're looking at the cost of food, Greg, and if you have the facts and figures in front of you, if you're looking at the cost of food over the past 20 years, due to the supermarket wars, which you see every day on TV, where they're constantly competing with one another around prices and getting into this war of trying to lower prices, which, by the way, has affected farmers. A lot of that, you were talking about the cost of food and the increase in profits for those companies, which has not come down to local farmers.
Let's just pick potatoes, right? The same companies you talk of continue to make great products, but use potatoes as loss leaders to get people through the doors. You know what I mean? They were making money elsewhere, but they chose to shaft the farmers.
And again, that's something that we need to bring to the Department of Agriculture and indeed to our Minister, Charlie McConlogue from Donegal. But focusing on this issue of food, yes, it has very much increased due to the war, due to the cost of oil. But long term, economics are saying this is not really going to lower in terms of price. We're still going to be looking at this issue around food. It doesn't seem to, and also food quality is very important, Greg. That's something else we need to look at. People's eating habits have differed. A lot of people now like to eat organic foods. They like to know where their food has originated from. So there's lots of variables to this discussion. I think it's very trite just to say, well, it's going to increase and they've made huge profits. You need to look at this in the whole and the right, as a global issue, and not only that, I mean, you know, in certain supermarkets, there's different products that are now not available. That's due to the war, it's due to oil prices, it's due to lack of staff, and particularly with Brexit. So it's a complicated, complex matter. I think it's very trite just to say, well, it's increased and they've been profiteering, and what can we do about that?
It's not trite, it's an absolute fact. The companies' profits are contributing to the 2/3 of the rise in inflation in food.
And inflation is across the board, I may remind you. I mean, if you look at the government...
It's fallen elsewhere, you see.
Yes, but if you look at what the government has done in Budget 2023, we've tried to bring in different initiatives, different measures in order to support families. And indeed, the ECB has as well as the European level. This inflation crisis is global and it's very serious, and it's going to take a long time for this to rectify. And it's not just the cost of food.
Do you know what the rate of inflation in Spain is at the moment? It's under 4%. It's under 4%. But listen, I'm not looking to catch you out. It's just, it might be global, but you can do things internally that counteract it. A quick word on that from you, Michael?
Yeah, I agree. There's profiteering, and there's a bunch of... So the inflation rates, there's a number of underlying causes for the inflation rate, but there absolutely is profiteering. And I can see it in the sector I work in, which is technology. You've seen a number of those technology layoffs. Suspiciously, they're laying off around the same percentage of staff each time. Now, they claim it's because they hired too many during the pandemic and now they're letting them go. But the people they're letting go are their older employees, the people that were there longer. They're not getting rid of the guys that just came in. So there's plenty of coverage in the tech press that people are increasing profit. And that's happening across sectors, and that's driving inflation. We may come on to it later on. It's one of the causes for concern that have, over the next year, 2 years, when the SVB Bank in California and then Credit Suisse in Switzerland, that was the first sort of inklings of some problems because the interest rates have gone up recently for the first time in 10 years. I don't think that's shaken out. Now, that might seem kind of obscure in the European Central Bank, but if you're looking at causes for inflation, there's plenty of people, including me, that are paying much more for their mortgage now. That's being driven by the European Central Bank here and the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, but the solution to inflation increases, it seems, is to raise interest rates. But you're saying
it's not actually not in all cases.
Yes, but that is what that seems to. I know, and I don't know enough to sort of argue the toss with you in that regard. But listen, you listen to American leaders, you listen to European leaders. They say we're raising interest rates to try and cool off inflation. That's what they will say. Now, I don't know any more or less than they.
They've kind of outsourced it to the central banks and. Arguably, so this isn't me. There's a guy called Chris Leonard who wrote a great book last year called The Lords of Easy Money. He's making the point that the Federal Reserve, by dropping interest rates in the run-up to the crash of 2006, that was one of the major contributing factors. He believes that a similar thing has happened over the last 10 years. It's unpredictable what will happen next. So that's a big cause for concern. What's the practical terms for Joe Public? Well, one of the reasons is you're paying too much on your mortgage now because the ECB decided that's a good idea, but there's good arguments that it isn't. And companies are profiteering as well. In terms of the cost of food, if food profitability has suddenly increased dramatically in the last 12 months, that's not because of natural economic drivers. That's because companies are ripping you off. So Ireland's got a history. It used to be called Treasure Island by some of the retailers because they could load up on so much profit here because there wasn't good competition. We just need to make sure the same thing doesn't happen. We've had issues like that too with insurance costs. So we need a strong competition authority making sure But
it also does happen in plain sight because you will hear adverts from companies not saying that they'll beat the prices of competitors, but they'll match the prices of competitors, which I always thought was a little bit strange there. They're not saying, you'll get one big company that will say, they won't say that you can buy your washing powder for €1 less than this other shop. What they'll say is we'll match it. That's not competition, surely. But
I'm seeing like another pertinent thing for Donegal people. I've heard anecdotally the same thing is happening to builder supplies, where somebody who's ordering wood has been advised to order it from Northern Ireland rather than the Republic because the prices in the Republic are increasing exponentially faster. So, and that's going to, people like me who will be looking at rebuilding their house due to MICA, we're going to have house price inflation here like nobody's business. So it's something to watch. It isn't because some obscure... The problems we're having are being caused by human decisions.
So let me ask you then, do you think part of it is that companies, suppliers are looking at what's happening here, the desperate need to build houses, the desperate need, of course, to replace defective concrete affected houses, and it's a desperate market and they can kind of name their price? Surely that couldn't be happening.
Well, I think that's not a reflection on builders in Ireland or Donegal in particular. This the same in all of human history. If there's money coming in and there's more money to get, people increase their prices. It's how markets work unless there's some counteraction, some kind of authority or something. So it'll spin up. If there's more money available, more money will be quoted in prices, and that the overall prices will increase. That's what happens in most markets, unless somebody comes in with a stick and tells you to calm down a bit.
And that's probably what happened with the 58 schools quite recently, which there was some good news in that regard, and we might talk about that a little bit later on. But it's quite depressing, Katie, isn't it, really, that, you know, we're able to talk about this stuff because it's there in plain sight, yet where the mugs end up paying more, it's our lives it ends up impacting. Yeah, Katie, you're going to have to unmute that. Unmute for me, please.
You're on mute, Katie?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do.
It's not playing ball this morning. I just find it. I've never known a time like this. You know, where to be honest, I did a shop and never really looked at prices, but sort of roughly knew how much it was going to come to, you know. And I cook a lot from scratch because I have a child with 2 dairy and a gluten allergy, so I have to watch what goes into food. But, you know, I'm now looking at my bill all the time and just seeing, like, a litre of milk was 75 cents. By the way, I'm saying that the supermarkets did screw the farmers on a litre of milk, but now it's 1.15. That's like, we're not talking about an increase of 2 and 3 cents on stuff where, like, as I say, I bought an item yesterday that used to be 5 for €2. It's now 2.50.
I mean, I remember when I was younger, milk was a treat. It was a treat, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to lie to you, there was times, because things were very tight, it was watered down as well. That's just to be completely truthful. Are we heading back into that direction again? Last word on this, Claudia, from you, having listened to Michael and Katie's inputs there.
Well, clearly, it's a very big concern for families, and families are struggling across the board, and food is a necessary item. And perhaps there is a need for the government to intervene, perhaps from a competition point of view, or perhaps intervening from an agriculture point of view. But this inflation crisis and cost of living crisis, it's really difficult, Greg, across the board for everybody on every level, from mortgages to the cost of food, to the cost of oil, to the cost of diesel. It is really difficult. It's hard and it's challenging. And perhaps there is a role for the government to intervene around costing and competition, and particularly around the cost of food, or perhaps supplementing families economically that they will be able to afford food. And it's harrowing and it's horrific to see the challenges that families are going through.
John is a farmer and agrees with you, Claudia. John, good morning to you. A quick word from you, if you don't mind.
No, just listen to what you're saying there, but I think Claudia is 100% right. No, 20 years they've been spoiled with cheap food prices, you know. I mean, the farmers producing it, but we're giving subsidies on okay to producers. But the thing about it is, what the cost that you got for your product, you're actually selling it below cost, and it took the subsidies. And, you know, it ended up, the more subsidies you got, the more the supermarket cut your price. They ended up taking your subsidies as well. And, you know, basically, I think the figures, there's up to between 8 and 9 million farmers has left the farming industry in Europe and said the last so many years. And with this whole thing now with the environment and organic and everything, we're heading towards a world food shortage. And there's nobody talking about it. And the population of the world's rising. So I think they're serious, but they need to change the whole structure, the way they're looking at things.
Yeah, but in terms of depending on what part of farming you're in, you know, that if you get your input costs were if you weren't being gouged on those, which farmers often are, if you were paid a decent price at the mart, for example, although maybe that's improved slightly now, or if the supermarket gave you a decent cut, the public could still enjoy affordable food prices, and you could still make a decent living. You know, there's no point taking on the consumer on this, John, is it? Because it's not the consumer's fault. It's the industry that's shafting you. Yeah.
I'm not concerned that the subsidies was put there so the consumer could have cheap food. But the thing about it is, the supermarket, they took it. And no, the farmer and the consumer both were screwed, you know.
Yeah,
You know, that's the problem.
But you make a very interesting point about the exodus from the farming industry, a growing global population, although it's dependent on where you are.
Serious.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, no, the figures are serious, but the thing about it is, down the line, and if you look at the whole structure of farming, one sector of farming back years ago would have fed after the other. I mean, if you take now the dairy sector would be going pretty good. They brought in new nitrogen directives, and if you had going to keep the same amount of cows, you had to get more acres. And the dairyman was getting good money, so he getting colossal money for land, but he was putting the man out. I mean, you'd hear a dairyman saying that he can serious money to take land so he can keep the same amount of cows. But I know a farmer in Donegal here would have reared 150 calves, and he bought them off a dairyman, and he can't buy no calves a year off him because a dairyman took his land. No, the whole divide, instead of living off one another, no, farmers is actually cutting one another's throat.
Yeah, I get you.
No, and the department officials is looking at the whole thing all wrong. You know, that's my opinion on it. No, but the thing about it is that subsidy was there for supposed to be the farmer and the consumer, but your multinationals took it.
Yeah, indeed. All right, John. Well, we have to stick together on it. Yeah, you'd agree with Claudia. I get you. All right, good stuff. Thanks, John. Just a quick word before the break, Michael White, from a green perspective. I mean, where do you see it, or where would you like to see it? You know, and obviously in some countries the population actually is in free fall. Aging population is a serious concern, but in some parts of the world there is population growth, and you know, we are going to need more food. Perhaps farmers are getting out of the industry. Is that good or bad, or what do you think?
It's bad. I mean, small farms are the basis of the rural community and need to be protected. There's a few points though. The rising increases at the retailers aren't being passed on to farmers, so it's not helping. It's not only consumers are getting nailed; it's also the farmers.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
it's not the Green Party that's the problem for the farmers. If you remember the beef protests, and it's Anglo-Irish beef processors that are the issue in that case. It's not the Green Party. In terms of the amount of food, there's actually Europe dumps half the food it produces every year, so there's not a food shortage, and there's no food shortage in the near future, not a real one. But there's what we believe. Irish farming should begin to concentrate on is a higher value farming, and it's less intense and higher value. And that's kind of the way farmers in Donegal already farm. They're not like the intense farmers down in the southeast. But rather than the Green Party's, me spouting on, it would be good to have broader discussions with farmers in Donegal, because the needs of farmers in Donegal are very different from the needs of, say, Pippa Hackett or ministers based in Offaly. That area, Offaly, Carlow, is a different part of the world versus here. So it'd be good to have a conversation up here about what farmers think they need and what they need.
Hey, let's have it on the radio. Let's set it up. All right, listen, thanks for now. Stay right where we are. That's Michael White, Chair of the Green Party in Donegal. We're also in the company and studio here of Claudia Kennedy, a teacher and Fianna Fáil Deputy and Chair of the Fianna Fáil CDC, and Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, community campaigner, is with us as well. Her finger and the mute button aren't with us, but we're getting there. We've another half an hour. Okay, we'll be back with more after the break.
Spring in your step. Fly with Loganair from Donegal to Glasgow Airport and save up to 15% during our sale now on, with more destinations available from City of Derry Airport too.
I wanna take you there.
Book by the 11th of April at loganair.co.uk. Travel from the 29th of April. Subject to availability, exclusions apply. Loganair. For all the times.
It's spring, outdoor painting season. Foy & Company are the largest stockists in the northwest of all the best quality exterior paints. Best for the exterior of your home, fencing, sheds or garden furniture. Foy's qualified in-store paint consultants are on hand to help you pick the right paint for the finish you want and the right colour to suit your home. Top names include the Fleetwood Weatherclad Exterior Collection, Dulux Weather Shield and Colour Trend, to name but a few. Call into the paint department at Foy & Company, Ballybuffet or Letterkenny.
Farm planning permissions hit by major obstacles. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal who is behind a flood of planning problems for sheds, tanks and milking parlours. We have the latest on fertiliser prices, how to maximise your suckler payment, calls for levies on agri-food exports, top tips for completing your BIS application, tax increases on loaders and teleporters. Are you compliant? And in Irish Country Living, enjoy our inspirational Easter recipes and kids' puzzles.
Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Some people get up early every morning. But on the morning of May 6th, we want everyone to be up for the most important sunrise of the year. Whether it's your first time or 10th time, join Pieta and Electric Ireland for this year's Darkness into Light. On May 6th, everyone's welcome. Sign up, take part and raise much needed funds for suicide prevention at darknessintolight.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Attention all women in business leadership roles. Are you looking for an upskilling program that will give you the tools and strategies you need to succeed? Rural Enterprise SkillNet presents Leading From Within, an online professional development program combining one-to-one coaching sessions and online workshops. Starting 18th of April, register today at ruralenterpriseskillnet.ie and empower yourself to create change. Rural Enterprise SkillNet is co-funded by SkillNet Ireland and network companies. SkillNet Ireland is funded from the National Training Fund through the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science.
Farm planning permissions hit by major obstacles. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal who is behind a flood of planning problems for sheds, tanks and milking parlours. We have the latest on fertiliser prices, how to maximise your suckler payment, calls for levies on agri-food exports, top tips for completing your BIS application, tax increases on loaders and teleporters. Are you compliant? And in Irish Country Living, enjoy our inspirational Easter recipes and kids' puzzles.
Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Spring is here, and so too are the new arrivals at Green Shoes. Shop in store or online now from best-selling brands like Doc Martens, Una Healy and Echo. Also Riker, Kate Appleby, Tommy Bow and many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards accepted in store. Visit Green Shoes and discover the perfect footwear to complement your style. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com.
New applications for school transport tickets for the 2023-24 school year are now open until Friday the 28th of April. All new applicants, including students changing school, must apply before the 28th of April deadline. A late application may mean that a ticket is not available. To apply for your child's ticket and to see details of eligibility and payment, go to buserin.ie/school transport. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
OK, do not adjust your sets. It is a Thursday, but we have a Friday panel for you because we aren't on air tomorrow. Our guests today, an excellent bunch, of course, as always. Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, community campaigner. Claudia Kennedy, teacher and Fianna Fáil deputy, chair of Fianna Fáil CDC, and Michael White, chair of the Green Party in Donegal. I had a bit of a stall there after deputy, Claudia. Would you consider running in the next general election? You're still based in the sort of easty south, are you?
Well, firstly, Greg,
you'd be in prime position, wouldn't you, to support Charlie McConnell-Ogue?
Well, firstly, in an elected or non-elected role, my duty and responsibility is to help the constituents of Donegal and deliver for them and to support the party, and that's what I'm doing at the moment at a CDC level, and that's really important for all the members of Fianna Fáil. We don't need to be elected, we don't need a title. It's about our work ethic, delivering for people on the ground and being responsible.
But if you were asked, could you see yourself stepping in there?
Well,
for the sake of the country, for crying out loud.
Firstly, it would be wonderful to have that opportunity, but there's a lot of hurdles to cross, clearly, Greg. And it's very important to have women and women candidates that are elected. And of course, if the opportunity arose, it would be fantastic and positive, but there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. As I say, my role currently is to support the party and members and the constituents.
Understood, OK. Now, a number of libraries have had to provide additional support for their staff as a result of recent protests, which have been seeking to remove some books discussing LGBT plus and sex issues aimed towards younger children. These supports include information on how to deal with such incidences and how to protect their well-being. The Irish Education Alliance, one of the groups behind the protest, said that the group is made up of teachers, principals, SNAs and preschool teachers, and that the specific books are not educational at all. Do you support this action, Claudia, or do we need to have a closer look at what books are available to children in libraries, or are you happy with the status quo, I wonder?
Clearly, I would need to see the books. I think you need to see the content of those books and see what they are, the issues that these librarians and parents and SNAs and whoever it may be need to discuss. So I think it's, it's hard to comment when you don't see the content of the books, when you don't see what actually in front of you. So it would be remiss of me to comment until I see the material in front of me. It is important to say that LGBTQI education is very important within second level education. We have Stand Up Awareness Week, we have Anti-Bullying Week. That's a cornerstone of the SPHE curriculum and the wellbeing curriculum at second level. So I can only speak from my own perspective, Greg, as a second level teacher. It's a very important part of our curriculum. It's a very important part of our curriculum from first year to Leaving Cert. It's mandatory through legislation and through circulars from the department. In relation to the issue that you're talking about books in libraries, I don't have those books in front of me. I cannot see the content.
Well, you can
Therefore,
imagine.
I could not
you can
comment.
imagine, right? We're not going to go into it now, but you can imagine there are books there, some telling stories and what have you, that would use casual language towards sex acts that might paint the positive picture of someone at a very young age feeling trapped in their body and transitioning. You know, a younger person could get dropped off the library, go in and have access to those books. Now, I think we have to be really talk about the parental role in all of this as well, but we'll probably tease that as we go. But, I mean, when you start taking books out of libraries, you never know where it might go from there. But anyway, at the very least then, do you think we need an audit of what's in there? Is it age appropriate? Are we enforcing sort of age guidance in terms of what books are for what age? Would that be a worthwhile exercise rather than dismissing one group as sort of, the enemy and the other the friend, or whichever side it might be? Say, right, okay, there is some concern. Let's have a look at what's going on here. Again,
it would be very important to have parental input, looking at the content of those books. It would be the parent's choice. Let's not forget, at that level, that would be the parent's choice. If the child goes to the library, what books they read in the library, the parent being with the child in the library, the librarian being there to oversee it. So if an audit was needed and that would help people just to discuss the issue and put it out there, then that would be quite significant. Again, the parental role is very important in this, where the parent would decide what content would be read, what content would be studied. Again, we haven't the books in front of us. We can't actually see them or comment.
Yeah, but you can imagine, though.
Of course, an audit.
Claudia, you can imagine what we're talking about.
Yeah, of course. An audit would be suitable. That you could do an audit within the library. You could look at what is there. You could look at a conversation and perhaps having an oversight body to see what would be suitable or what would not be suitable. So an audit would be preferable.
Yeah, I mean, the elephant for me in the room here is the internet and children as young as 6 with phones. That's a much greater concern for me as a parent, but that doesn't mean I'm taking in a side on this argument either. But I mean, I think we have to really identify where the real dangers are and where things are going. But anyway, we're trying to sort of do that by way of this conversation. I'll put you in the middle this time, Michael, if that's okay. What's your views? So are you in the same vacuum as Claudia in that we're kind of talking about something that, I mean, I've heard extracts read out and I've read some extracts, but I don't really know the environment, the space, where they are, the oversight. Do you have any further insight?
Well, I disagree entirely with this. I don't think a fringe interest group has a right to dictate what goes into a library. So there's a bunch of things that really annoy me about this. Ireland's got a bad history of censoring books. I mean, we had like James Joyce, Brendan Behan, writers like that censored back in the 50s and 60s. We live in a democracy. If you don't want to read the book, don't read the book. Nobody's forcing kids to read these books. We also have currently there's been an increase in homophobic attitudes publicly, and that needs to stop as well. These aren't unrelated. Nobody's out protesting about heterosexual books in the libraries and the effect they're going to have on their 14 or 15-year-old kids. They're only picking on the ones that are LGBTQ2. So I think it's nonsense. I feel pretty strongly about anything that attacks books or book reading. It's a culture war thing that we're beginning to import from the States. The other thing is, who are these groups? It looked like there's about 3 people standing outside the door 4 weeks ago. So there's an Irish Educational Alliance and this thing called the Natural Women's Council. This is real culture war stuff that's been going on in the UK recently and in the States. It doesn't have any place here. We should be trying to encourage kids to read, not trying to pick out and ban them. The next thing as well is the choice of those books. Those books were chosen by the INTO and ANPOST and other national bodies. They've gone through a rigorous process of selection. So if we have an issue, the way you go and protest that is go through the normal channels. You don't do it by standing outside the library or threatening librarians, which is what happened in Cork. That isn't acceptable, and anybody that does that should be prosecuted. So that'd be my general gist. There's been a rise in homophobism. It shouldn't be allowed. This is a reflection of this, that they're only attacking books to do with LGBTQ. That's coming from an angle that shouldn't, in my view, shouldn't be tolerated.
And these are words that came from Daniel O'Donnell, right? But I mean, I hadn't really heard them before, but they were quite striking. I have heard them before, but from him and a couple of other people. But anyway, does the majority, you are of the view that this is an absolute minority, I believe. Does the majority in this country need to start finding its voice, do you think, Michael?
I think the majority finds its voice when it needs to. Actually, it's unpredictable in Ireland what will get people on the streets. So, I mean,
but even vocally, you know, because I know when we talk about this issue, we will get far more people that are disgusted that these books are in libraries than people who trust the people that have made these decisions.
That's true in every country, and that's
but my point is that's what I'm talking about. Does the majority, if it is the majority, need to find its voice?
It was true in the US, and it still is true in the US. If you look at the United States, from what we see on TV, you think there's just a bunch of crazy lunatic Trump supporters, and then you've got some Biden supporters. But in actual fact, every time they do polls in the US, there's a big bunch of people in the middle who've got generally middle-of-the-road views, but they're not being represented clearly. They don't take over the media. Part of the reason is social media. The other reason is that, as you know, media works better, news works better when there's a confrontation or an argument going on. So that's what takes up all the news. Now, your question was whether do the average Irish citizens need to become more vocal in their views. I think sometimes, and in particular cases like this, we all have relatives or friends that are gay who've had issues. One of my best friends from college in the 1980s, the amount of crap he had to put up with, but back then it was still illegal to be gay. We do not want to roll back to the 1950s or the 1980s. And if people feel that way, if they have cousins and brothers and sisters that are gay, they need to stand up and be very vocal in this and saying this isn't good enough. These groups, these books are being attacked for a particular reason, and I don't think that's good enough.
But that being said, though, is the solution here not to... It's like sex education in school. Lots of people talk about it but don't know exactly what's actually taught and how it's taught. Do we not then, whilst this conversation is being had, find out what these books are, who they're directed at, how accessible they are?
For every single book in
I
the
don't
library,
know.
The book's already
I mean, some would argue you'd need to do it with the Bible because there's an awful lot of stuff that might be too difficult for a child to read in the Bible. But maybe it's...
No, but my point is, Greg, if you've got a library full of books, are you going to go through this process with every single book in the library? Who's going to be the one that decides whether it's acceptable or not?
You won't see nudity or hear bad language on the telly before 9 p.m. is really what I'm getting at, okay? But I take your point. I want Katie's views on this now. Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, what's your view, as I say?
My views are actually very similar to Michael's. I think books go through a process. Don't forget, when they're published, they normally have to, if they're for children, they have to have an age guideline. So that's set by publishers as well. And I'm not in favour of banning books, really. I think that librarians should be trusted with their choice. Obviously, they have to bring the books into the library. When people are checking out books, especially children, they have an age on there, so they're not gonna let a child a Stephen King horror.
But the thing too, Katie, is what I don't understand. And as I say, I really want to make it important here because I don't have all the information, so I'm not coming from an angle here. But, like, in terms of the language and stuff that's talked about in this book, like, I think it's kind of almost naive, and I say this with respect, if parents think that these books aren't there, that in some way their children are protected by this. I remember going back more decades than I cared to admit to, what we talked about in the playground, the words that we used to describe certain things and what have you. Like, and I went home then to mum and dad, and they probably thought I was an altar boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, do people seriously think that if in some way books are removed from libraries that children walk around in absolute innocence? Because the schoolyard is not like that, I'm afraid.
It isn't, and you like to think your kids are more innocent than they are, and I know that my mother thought I was far more innocent than what I was. So, and the other thing is as well is can we just acknowledge the fact that, right, I saw the movie Pride, right? Just because I watched the movie Pride, yeah, I would have been supporting the striking minors, but I'm straight. I'm not gay.
Yeah, but what age were you when you watched it, though?
All right, I was an adult, but
that's what I'm saying. You know, what you weren't.
Can I make a point?
Of course, and anyone can come in at any point. By the way, of course.
They're not attacking books to do with heterosexuality, so nobody's coming in, and there's plenty of books, as we know, out there that are very, very graphic and vile, but are portraying heterosexual sex. Nobody's out there doing a protest outside a library about that. The other thing is,
50 Shades of Grey was lauded.
Exactly.
It was just like the biggest thing ever.
Of, good taste, but I'm not trying to.
Well, I haven't read it, so all watched it for that matter. But go ahead.
But that's the point. The other point, I'm really suspicious of these fringe groups. Who funds them? Who's in them? Where do they get their money from? Like, it's very similar to the States. On that list, I put the Aonia Institute. The Aonia Institute are, again, guys who've got a disproportionate impact on media. I don't know where they're getting their money from. Where are these guys, this National Women's Alliance? Because I know in cases in Germany, it's very clear where the money's coming from. It's coming from rich backers of neo-Nazi causes in Germany. I'm not saying these guys are neo-Nazis, but I'm saying it's not
Well, they might not be.
that
We
these
don't
fringe
know if
groups
they're
are funded
funded
by-
either. Do you share any of their concerns, Claudia?
I do, absolutely. And I think, you know, Michael has made a very relevant point in terms of who funds them and the backing, and indeed what is their aim and their goal with this. And it has been very interesting, this cultural war globally. We've seen in America with Ron DeSantis, the Republican candidate, who really brought this to the fore in 2022 to the Florida legislature and pushed it through, and has done so again. And there was a huge backlash. But for him, it was running as a Conservative candidate for the Republican nomination for the next election. So I think there clearly is other agendas going on here as well. But it's very important to say that we are a liberal democratic society in Ireland. We support LGBTQ+. It's part of our school curriculum and school education. So I would agree with all the points that Michael has made.
Katie, did you want to come back in there, please?
Yeah, I just want to say that I find a lot of the people that are saying we should ban these books and all that also then go, oh, but free speech is being eradicated, right? And we can't do this and we can't do that. And they're also the same people that are calling people like me too woke, right? And, you know, the woke people are trying to ban Disney, you know, Sleeping Beauty, because, you know, Sleeping Beauty wasn't consenting when the prince kissed her. Do you know what I mean? And some people saying that's a problem, right? But then they moan about things like that, but now also want to ban books. So what side are you? Are you in favour of free speech, or are you?
Of course, rewriting books to take out offensive terms. It's also confusing. This is kind of why I am on TikTok now more than Twitter. Just might as well say it, because I can't deal with this anymore. This division and disruption. And
I think just to tie this back to some of the original conversation too, one of the reasons Trump managed to succeed in the States is he tapped into a lot of anger with economic inequality and economic stagnation, and that could happen here. I mean, the income distribution isn't as unequal here, but it's bad, and as Katie was saying, people are really suffering at the lower end of the income distribution from the price increases. The danger is what Trump managed to do. He managed to tap into that anger and that feeling, you know, and it's beginning to spread in Ireland. People don't think they can ever buy a house, or they're really having difficulty getting a house. Decisions like, say, our kids are going to college this year. Some of the decisions around people's choice of which college they go to is whether they can get accommodation in that town or city. So it's beginning to hit here as well. And there's just a danger if that's allowed to continue and fester the economic problems, then these culture warriors will hop on that and start to exacerbate those. So, you know, anti-immigrant groups will latch onto the economic issues. And that's kind of what happened in the States. We need to make sure it doesn't happen here.
All right, go ahead, Katie. Go ahead, just before the break.
Don't make you gay. You know, simple answer to it. Books do not make you gay. You are born gay. That's it. So, you know, these people that are trying to ban this, ban that, and to be honest, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more after the break.
PDO Thread Lifts, the ultimate non-surgical lift for the skin, improving facial contours, lifting and tightening jowls, the neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor, 07495 32575.
For confirmation and First Communion, there's a great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top brands include 1880 Club, Diesel and Tommy Bow Footwear, all at great prices. Stand out for the big day at Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Electric Ireland Superhomes can help you achieve a cosier, healthier and more energy efficient home, and one with less carbon emissions. They look after your home's retrofit from start to finish, including management of SEAI grants. Visit electricirelandsuperhomes.ie and start your journey to a superhome today. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the SEAI.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Lanzarote is back. Check out our new weekly flights to Lanzarote with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, let's have a look at the weather then. And I can tell you that as soon as it loads, a bright and largely dry day with sunny spells and just isolated showers. Highest temperatures of 9 or 10 degrees in light to moderate northwesterly breezes. Heretofore, groups that have been mentioned here have failed to gain any traction at local election, general election level. Just a quick one in the last couple of minutes that we have. Do you see that changing, Claudia Kennedy? Do you know we've got a few newly established parties that are quite vocal on issues such as the one we've just been discussing and immigration and what have you. Can you imagine, or do you think that we'll start seeing candidates elected on those types of issues?
Very much possibly. I think it will be down to the level of communication skills from the government and ministers and TDs, and that's why opportunities like this to speak on local radio and to speak with yourself, Greg, to meet community groups, that level of communication needs to be kept open, and you need to listen to concerns of people as well and not just brush them away and say, well, it's a different ideology or it's something we don't agree with or it has been, it's politically motivated by another group. So it's important to listen to those groups. It's important to reach out to them. It's important that the government communication level is on task. Everybody is reading off the same page and that we're clear and consistent. And it's a democracy, Greg. That's very important. Everybody's entitled to their view and their opinions and to speak. And it really will be down to there's different social economic issues geographically in the country. So perhaps, a social economic issue in Dublin is going to be very different to what we have in Donegal and being a border county as well. But it is a democracy. Everybody is due and allowed that platform to speak, and you provide that platform, which is very important in a democratic manner and equal manner as well. But it's really, I think, important for all elected representatives, including parties in opposition and including parties in government. There's a huge responsibility and duty to lay out the facts, to be honest, and to keep those lines of communication across the board, and that includes our opposition parties as well as government parties.
I get you, Claudia. Michael White, do you see some of the new parties, some of the new groupings and some of the vocal individuals who, heretofore, in fairness, have picked up handfuls of votes here and there? Do you think we're in a space where we might start seeing them represented on local authorities or maybe even in the Dáil?
I think that it's a possibility, and I'd regard it as a danger. And so we've seen recently the anti-immigrant protests as an indication that that's a possibility. And as I mentioned, that what they're very good is using economic issues to cause division. So instead of, they'll pit poor Irish people against poor immigrants. And
but you could say mainstream parties use the same tactics, maybe not the same subject matter, but the same tactics.
Not really. In Ireland, we've never had a right-wing party that's targeted immigrants. So we've been lucky so far, and we've never had...
but we have Sinn Féin saying the government is taking money off the poor and looking after the rich. It's the same kind of an argument, but a different subject matter.
That economic argument's justified anywhere, and that's a good argument to make, and it's one you can argue in it. So it's not to say... I suppose the point I'm making is that in order to avoid this getting worse, the biggest challenges in Ireland are around economic inequality, and housing is part of that, and that's something the government needs to get better. The delivery of housing is a big deal.
It really is.
That will help with everything else.
Katie, 30 seconds to you, if that's all right.
Yeah, coming from an area in London where that actually did happen, someone from the British National Party was elected. We need to have conversations locally, make sure that fake news doesn't, it's very difficult to control in this era.
But in fairness, there are a lot of these individuals are expressing concerns that people feel as well. There's no point pretending that's simply not the case. It's not fake news that a person who's been on the housing waiting list for 8 years sees someone coming from Ukraine and moving into that house in a week. That's not fake news. That's someone's real concern, and some of these people speak to those concerns.
Yes, and that's why you don't shout these people down. We sit and we have to make explanations. And, yeah, I want the government to explain, why we have an housing crisis. And in our society, that shouldn't be happening.
Okay.
No one.
Katie, it's been a pleasure having you on as always. Thank you so very much. Have a lovely Easter weekend, will you?
Thank you very much, Greg. Will do.
Bye-bye, Michael White. Same to you. Always a pleasure, and have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourself. And last but not least, thanks for calling up, Claudia. It's been great to see you. Have you back on the programme again. I'm sure we'll see you again too soon.
Thank you, Greg. It's great to be here.
Thank you very much indeed. That was our Thursday panel, our Friday panel on a Thursday, I suppose you could say. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
Bluebird Care are looking for you. Bluebird Care are currently seeking carers and nurses to join their ever-expanding team. Immediate starts for carers in all parts of the county, especially Letterkenny, Inishowen and Donegal Town. Bluebird Care are also looking for registered general nurses for day and nighttime 12-hour shifts. Contact Bluebird Care on 07491299562 or bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
A roig ober an gáda de héal. Agus mé mar blachtra le 25 bliain an nuas, dhéal alles le gacha in sais corúlacht, mar hampla, dúnmharathe, robáil agus untígnéise. An rud camónta untu galéir ná ísfortig. Tagan dína in leclat agus iad amóna lás dúlánaí gan na saoil. Hógus ísfortig slán ó cásna éigendála go raibh a saoil am whale, san áta bí cheart over ves sa fálta ina baile hain. Is fragracht mór é seo agus tá mé fiomhródúil as an obair atá dentagum son gachaile ísfortig harna blianta. Is obair Jackar é, ach, caimé rá is obair fiúntach é. Denirtas ag publicjobs.ie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to roll out the red carpet and celebrate the best and brightest in the business world for the Highland Radio Customer Service Awards in association with PGM Ireland.
From your local community centre to your favourite pet shop or your friendly dentist, we're recognising the businesses who are making a difference in your community.
This award is a great way to show your appreciation for the businesses that make a difference in your life.
But you better act fast. The deadline for entries is just around the corner. So visit our website and nominate now. Nominations close this Friday, the 7th of April.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's just gone 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The chair of the Green Party in Donegal says it's vital there is a strong competition authority in place in Ireland to ensure that inflation isn't used as an excuse for profiteering. Michael White says there is evidence of prices being increased in several sectors for profit rather than as a response to prevailing economic conditions. He says there's already evidence of this happening in the building sector, with some evidence that prices are already rising. Michael White says with thousands of homes set to be rebuilt as a result of defective blocks in Donegal, there is set to be considerable price inflation.
I've heard anecdotally the same thing is happening to builder supplies, where somebody who's ordering wood has been advised to order it from Northern Ireland rather than the Republic, because the prices in the Republic are increasing exponentially faster. So, and that's going to, people like me who will be looking at rebuilding their house through the Mica, like we're going to have house price inflation here like nobody's business. So it's something to watch. It isn't because some obscure, the problems we're having are being caused by human decisions.
Funds which should have been used to build around 4,000 social and affordable housing units went unspent in recent years. Figures obtained by Sinn Féin show that almost €1 billion intended to be used to provide affordable homes wasn't used between 2020 and 2022. The Department of Housing blamed the halting of building during COVID-19 lockdowns as one of the primary reasons for the underspend. However, Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson Eoin O'Brien says that doesn't hold water.
No, COVID-19 is not the main cause of this underspend. If it was the case, and last year the underspend would have fallen dramatically because the COVID pandemic obviously was over. The very opposite is the fact. In fact, last year was the largest underspend, and it's continuing into this year, according to the latest figures from the Department of Finance. Darrell O'Brien is very good at blaming everybody else for the housing crisis, where in fact he is the minister.
The Rural Independent Group, meanwhile, says planning laws on restrictions to log cabins should be relaxed. They want to see families with their own land be allowed to build cabins for housing. TD Matthew McGrath says it could help many who are facing homelessness lower the waiting list and present options for those not on housing lists. He wants a temporary change to the planning laws.
Many of these people aren't on the housing list or wouldn't qualify, and they're prepared to, not look for a house but build their own house. So it makes perfect sense that the regulations and the stringent laws around, building houses, planning are relaxed for 5 to 10 years to allow people to construct these.
Improvement works on the A2 Buncrana Road in Derry are to be delayed pending the preparation of a new regional transport plan. DFI says the road is a key link in the northwest, which serves as the main corridor from the city centre to industrial and residential areas, as well as a link to County Donegal. With more, here's Tara Duggan.
The North's Department for Infrastructure says it is fully committed to progressing the road improvement scheme, which will see the 4.1 kilometres from Derry City to the border upgraded to 4 lanes, including a footway and cycleway and a park and ride facility. However, DFI says it is currently developing a new regional transport strategy and has decided to pause the development of the scheme until that is completed and the Northwest Transport Plan is well enough developed to allow a high quality design to be advanced, which aligns with the modal transport approach for the city, including any linkages to the City Deal projects. The department is stressing that the redevelopment of the Fort George site is not dependent on the Buncrana Road improvement scheme being implemented, and planned improvements to Pennyburn roundabout and any other transport mitigation measures can be taken forward.
A formal murder investigation is underway into the killing of a young woman in Limerick City. The body of the woman, aged in her 20s and originally from Romania, was found at an apartment at the Riverdock House complex on Dock Road at lunchtime on Tuesday. A post-mortem found she suffered a violent death, but the results aren't being released for operational reasons. Father Seamus Enright is rector of the Redemptorists, who are located just a few streets away from where the killing took place. He says people are bewildered, saddened and scared.
People are very upset. Nobody expects this kind of violence to come to their own community, so there's general upset about that, but people are also upset for the lady and for her family. But I also think there are a lot of older people living around here, so there will be a certain amount of fear as well. People don't feel maybe as safe or secure in the area as they might have once felt.
Weather forecast: bright and largely dry with sunny spells and just some isolated showers today. Top temperatures 9 or 10 degrees Celsius in a light to moderate northwesterly breeze. Tonight, dry and quite cold with some mist and fog patches possible. Lowest overnight temperatures -1 to +1 degrees in light winds. Tomorrow, Good Friday, largely dry with spells of hazy sunshine. The chance of an isolated shower. Top temperatures tomorrow a little warmer than today, 11 to 14 degrees Celsius in moderate southerly winds. That's Highland Radio News. Back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, the 6th of April. The death has taken place of Seamus McConalogue, 554, Art McCool Stranora, formerly of Glen McQuinn. Seamus's remains will repose at his late residence tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and on Saturday from 12 noon until 10 p.m. with rosary both evenings at 9. Funeral from there on Easter Sunday morning at 11:30, going to St Mary's Church Convoy for Requiem Mass at 12:30. Interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery Convoy. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Cloughan Day Centre, care of any family member. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Mary McSheffrey, Tullyalley, Redcastle. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Mary's funeral service will take place on Saturday morning at 11 in St Columba's Church, Drung, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, Letterkenny, care of any family member. Mary's funeral service can be viewed live on stcolumbusdrung.net. The death has taken place of James Jimmy Timoney Fintown. James will repose at his home from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock today and again tomorrow from 2 until 8, with house private please on the morning of the funeral. A celebration of Jimmy's life will be held in Fintown Day Centre at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, followed by cremation in Lakeland's Crematorium, Cavan. The death has taken place of Seamus McGinley, Cheerhoman, Milford. Remains reposing at his brother Henry and Elizabeth McGinley's home at Lochnackey, Milford. Funeral liturgy tomorrow at 11 in St Peter's Church, Milford, with burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. The liturgy can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Patrick Sweeney, funeral directors. The death has occurred of Billy Doherty, Port Hall, Lifford, formerly of Dergalt, Evish Straban, reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:20 for funeral service at 12 noon in St Patrick's Church, Murlock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. The death has occurred of Fonzie Donaghy, Doe, 54, Cockhill Park, Buncrana. Fonzie's remains are reposing at his residence, with funeral from there on tomorrow Friday morning at 10:30 for service at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Mass for Fonzie will take place at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Both the funeral service and the Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 o'clock tonight. The death has taken place of Jane Baird, née McCarran, Hawthorne Cottage, Drumnahoe, Letterkenny, formerly of Lisfannon, Fawn. Jane's remains will repose at Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, today from 6 until 8:30. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 8:30, going to St Maurice Church, Fawn, for 10 o'clock funeral liturgy, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Private cremation will take place later. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Relay for Life, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Kathleen Mulhern, née Rolston, Gortic Carr, Crossroads, Killygordon. Remains reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for service in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon at 10:30, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. The service will be streamed live on the St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon YouTube channel. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. and on the morning of the funeral. And the death has occurred of Breed Logan, née Cawley, Town Parks, Rafo, formerly of Tallahill, Belmullet, County Mayo. Funeral from her late residence this morning at 10:20, going to St Eunan's Church, Rafo, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed online via the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice or Mary's Meals, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Taking time out to visit a healthcare professional isn't always convenient. That's why at Irish Life Health, we visit you. With My Clinic, our members get virtual access to back and neck physiotherapy, professional counselling, unlimited GP consultations and more. Search Irish Life Health. A better life with Irish Life Health. Services available where covered on your plan and clinically appropriate. Professional counselling available to age 16 plus. Back and neck physio to age 18 plus. Irish Life Health Act is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. And in the next 2 hours, within the next 2 hours, someone out there today is going to win our big holiday competition. They're going to win €15,000 in worth of a prize. €10,000 of a holiday voucher to use as you wish. As I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks, it could be one big blast with the whole family or multiple trips. It's up to you. You can keep holidaying until you exhaust the €10,000. You will also get into your hand €5,000 in cash. We've labelled it spending money. It's to do with what you wish. If you haven't got your ticket yet, you can still buy a ticket. Now, the tickets are purchased, you're allocated a number. That number comes into the studio here and it's put into the draw drum, into the trombola. So there is nothing to suggest that the ticket, or nothing to suggest otherwise, that the ticket that's bought in the next hour will not go into that trombola. It'll be obviously mixed in and could be pulled out. Whoever buys a ticket now has as much opportunity to win as the person who bought the very first ticket, because it's a random open draw which will be streamed live here on the 9 till Noon Show, as the show is every day. So if you want to have a punt for a tenner, if you can afford it, of course, you can buy your ticket now, highlandradio.com, and be in the draw for that €15,000 prize. If you want to buy multiple tickets, either as a group or an individual, it's completely up to you and down to how much money you have. 6 tickets for €50. You can get 10 of them for €80. So if you buy the max, you get the tickets for €8 each effectively. Now, you can buy your tickets, as I say, on the website, highlandradio.com. It's fully safe and secure. You'll see the Win a Holiday of a Lifetime badge there. Click it. You will be entered into the competition. Now, and it's perfectly safe and secure, but if you want to also ring us and get your ticket, please, if you're going to do it, get in quick, because we might have a number of calls. We might have a backlog in getting them processed. Obviously, everyone we speak to will get them in the draw, but you can call us right now on 07491 25,000 and punt a tenner, and you could win €15,000. That €10,000 holiday voucher, €5,000 spending money. Get onto the website highlandradio.com or give us a call right now on 07491 25,000. Coming up a little later on, David James, his career continues to go from strength to strength. He's going to be in studio chatting to us about his new single and developments in his career. We'll also hear his new single as well. We'll play that out. Looking forward to that. So stay tuned for that, and so much more as well, of course. Some of your comments here. I was brought up reading Enid Blyton, but by the time that my sister, 7 years younger, was ready to read her, she had been banned from libraries. I also read everything I could get my hands on, in particular books that were not recommended for my age. I'm a heterosexual, not a Satanist, a murderer, a sexual deviant, or any of the things. I should have turned into by reading everything woke. Is destroying life for the young generations. Darren on Facebook says, giving porn to kids is a crime. Free speech isn't. Well, no one is suggesting that porn is given to kids. But this caller says, what a crazy analogy from the far left. People are not born gay, Greg, and that's a fact. Why did you let her say that? Well, listen, are you saying people are converted, Darren? I respect your point of view, but I can only speak from my learned life experience. And I have many friends and have had many friends who are gay. And anytime the conversation came up, they knew from a very early age. They kept it a secret from school. They kept it a secret from their parents, their siblings, and many didn't come out until their 30s. But they all knew. They all seemed to know from a very young age, and that was without these books in the libraries or what they were being taught at school or what have you. Now, I'm not saying there aren't concerns that I would share that are out there. That's not what I'm saying. But look, at all I can speak from is my experience, and I don't know anyone that was turned gay. Let me put it to you like that. So that is why that comment didn't really evoke an interjection from me, because I can only really sometimes go off my own life experience. Greg, read the library books. I agree with Michael White. Removing books from libraries is totally wrong. Selective outrage is a big problem in Ireland. Again, you know, I don't let a young person in my life use a phone without it being monitored, you know, without restrictions being put in place. And restrictions I know they can't get around, okay? Now, it's not a big issue now because it will be again, but not currently at the moment, right? I am not then going to just drop my child off absolutely anywhere and let them just go and do whatever they want unprotected, without guidance, without words, without speaking to them. You know, they could go into a shopping centre and someone could assault or abuse them. They could go into a library, pick up the wrong book and sit there reading it. Do they take it out? Do your parents ask, well, what were you reading in there? Is it kept a secret? Does that maybe not talk to the relationship between the parent and the child? I don't know. As I say, stuff for me has to be age appropriate. So I'd have to do even more research, but I'm not going to have my views turned one way or other by people being either very extreme in one direction or another, using really evocative language, emotional language to make either side of the argument. I'll research it myself and come up with my own conclusion at some point. Right, okay, let's get to the next comment here. The same three parties, I hope, be in the next government again, because them other parties talk a load of waffle. Children don't need perverted books in the children's library section with explicit content. That's the issue, not if someone is gay or trans. They aren't fairy tale books. Kids shouldn't be watching Love Island, in my view, either. But a lot of kids sit watching Love Island. So where does it begin and end? Why all of a sudden this focus on books? There's an awful lot of stuff out there. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of 6 and 7 and 8 year olds on TikTok. And it is a cesspit as well, if you want to go looking for it. The Greens are so heterophobic that it's unreal. Anything normal, in inverted commas, that's the word a listener used, they are against. It has to be perverted for them to back. And if I'm totally honest, child grooming, allowing youngsters to read them books. Again, though, if we're going to have that conversation, let's broaden it out to what they're on at social media, what they're watching on soap operas in the evening at the moment. There's a couple of conversations, storylines at the moment about rape. Or suspected rape or presumed consent. That's on at 7:30 on Coronation Street or EastEnders or Emmerdale, one of the three of those. And other really serious issues. Are the same children protected from that? I just think if we're going to go down that road, let's go right down that road. Why pick out books, it seems, in and of itself in a library? I don't understand why the argument's not broadened out by the people making that argument then. With the corporate tax take substantially increasing again, says the listener, I agree that some of it should be put away for a rainy day. But we have the mica crisis and the countrywide housing crisis. What does a rainy day look like in the government's eyes? It's piddling down. But also, listen, let's not forget, €1.5 billion for underspending housing. That's unacceptable in a housing crisis, isn't it? Now, the argument will be made that, well, the first 2 years was COVID and that's why we didn't spend that billion because... it's the same government introduced the measures on COVID. I don't see that as an excuse. Where there's a will, there's a way. A lot of stuff went on. The shops were open. The hospitals were somewhat open. You know where I'm coming from. Life did tick along for many sections of society. I don't buy it. But if there's a housing crisis, you don't want to have €1.5 billion unspent, do you? That's 50,000 houses. Claudia Kennedy needs to recognise that TDs are being overpaid in the light of payment for politicians elsewhere in the context of it. OK, thank you. Paul Claudia still fighting Fianna Fáil's corner, proudly doing so as well. Joe Biden should visit Knock and ask forgiveness for the evil support he gives to mass abortion in the US up to 24 hours before birth. Well, I mean, obviously you'd be well aware of what's happening in terms of abortion laws in America at the moment, but I take your point. That's your view and you're entitled to it, of course. The position of the Green Party that the Irish herd should be reduced to combat global warming is nonsensical when one considers that India has a herd of 308 million wandering around free as they are deemed sacred animals. If cows are the issue, why not address India's herd rather than putting small farmers out of their livelihoods? Katie spoke on the cost of milk per litre. Well, we can only use the Alpro brand milk in vegan. It ranges from almost €3 to $3.50 a litre. Well, you can get a bottle of Budweiser for €1.10. You know, like, and this is nothing against farmers, by the way, but you can get a bottle of Budweiser for €1 odd. That's crazy, isn't it? This particular milk, $3.50 a litre. We can't drink the other brand, says this listener. There are too many other things in it. We are penalised for contributing in saving the planet. Another caller says, we had a rainy day fund in 2011. There was €28 billion in it. Typical Fianna Fáil attitude. We were spoiled with cheap food for 20 years, says that listener. Caller said she was at the supermarket yesterday and observed a butcher purchasing a large amount of lamb. It would appear that he was buying it in the supermarket to sell it at a much higher price in his own butcher's. maybe it is also possible that that butcher had a delivery that fell through and he didn't want to let down, or she didn't want to let down the regular customers, and maybe sold it at a loss, or at the same they paid for it. I would say that's probably much more likely, that maybe they've run out and they don't want to disappoint their own personal customers. But I get where you're coming from. But I'm not sure they're buying it in a supermarket and marketing it up. People are too clever for that now. They'd probably spot it. Let's take a break. Back with more shortly.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, April 6th, Jackpot Day. Today's jackpot is €16,000. Today's jackpot number is 72. You're playing on a pink coloured sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 14. The numbers are 10, 57, 20, 37, 22, 82, 72, 78, 42, and the number 7. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number, and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Waterworld Bundoran is back for the 2023 season, and it's open every day over the Easter holidays. Experience the 3-lane multi-slide, the Whizzer, the Wave Pool and Rapids, the Twister, Tornado and Gravity Speed Slides, the Pirates Galleon Ship, as well as our brand new gift shop. Booking essential. Get your tickets now at waterworldbundoran.com/booking and find us on Facebook.
All footwear is reduced to clear in the big closing down sale at McGarrigle Shoes, Letterkenny. All men's shoes and boots must go. Also, all ladies' footwear at knockdown prices. In the closing down sale, now on at McGarrigle Shoes, Main Street, Letterkenny.
The groom goes free. The groom goes free. Yes, you heard it. The Groom's Room. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park. The groom goes free. Call in today. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 25 minutes past 10. We have 3 guests in studio for you now. First of all, we'll say good morning, Charlene Logue, Youth Outreach Manager with the Donegal Youth Council. Good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
And we also have Hannah, who's 16 from Creasla Youth YC. What does that stand for?
Youth Club.
Youth Club, I should have known that, didn't I? I was thinking Youth Council. Now, okay. And Jennifer from Planet Youth Project, an adult leader. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us, and good to have all 3 of you with us. Right, okay. Now, this is Youth Work Ireland celebrating Volunteer Week. So talk to me a little bit about this, Charlene.
Well, Youth Work Ireland is our parent company, and Donegal Youth Service is one of the members.
That microphone won't bite you, you know.
We're one of the members, 23 youth services across the country, and every year Youth Work Ireland pick a different theme for Youth Work Week, and this year the theme is celebrating volunteers.
Okay, and volunteers do amazing work.
Unbelievable. Backbone of every community, and not just in youth work, but in every section of the community, in sport, drama, just contributing something, giving something back. They're invaluable, and we really appreciate the volunteers across Donegal.
And I'll give actually, whilst we're on the subject, some of those volunteers work within Tidy Towns committees, and we had the regional awards yesterday, and Buncrana excelled. Fair play to them, but there's a whole host of winners. Letterkenny did really well as well. I'll go through the winners a little later on. Hannah, talk to me a little about yourself. Are you involved in volunteering?
I am. I volunteer at Creasla Youth Club.
And what do you do?
I help organise games and stuff for everyone doing it, and I go on the trips, and it's just a really good experience.
And you kind of like a big sister kind of role there too as well for the younger ones?
Somewhat, yeah. I used to do the youth club in Creasla, and then I thought it would be great to go back and help out and share the games that we used to do.
Yeah. And it's great for you. It's great for your personal growth too. Are you in transition year or a bit young for that? Or
I'm in 3rd year.
3rd year, so are you doing transition year?
Yeah, I am.
You have to do fourth, and it's transition, isn't it?
Fourth year is transition year. I'm doing my junior cert.
That's how old I am. You see, I'm absolutely ancient. Right, okay, so you get a lot from that yourself as well too, and you can you've been through the system, so you see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
All right, excellent stuff. Right, okay. Also, Jennifer from the Planet Youth Project. What is the Planet Youth Project?
Well, they're actually celebrating their 40 years this year. They were set up a few decades ago, and they're still running within the town. I think they're one of the 3 youth groups in Donegal that's actually still running at the moment after COVID. Fabulous group. They ran through the whole of COVID. I had kids myself that were involved in it as youth, and I seen what they were doing. They ran things online, baking, animations, modelling, quizzes, groups, all through COVID. Kept a great bunch of kids going through the whole thing, and then when they opened the doors up, then we got some of them into the clubs, and sadly the clubs aren't as active as they used to be. Some of that's down to maybe, I don't know, kids have more things these days, and the social aspect of things.
Oh, maybe there was that break in it. You know what I mean? There's a momentum thing. It can almost skip a class.
Yep.
If you think of 5th and 6th class in national school, or 1st and 2nd, dependent on what's relevant, you can't go to it because other things are happening. It's hard to get that back. Are we doing enough, do you think, to try and sort of get that back? Because we know the value of it, and we've got a perfect example here in Hannah to talk about the positivities of being in a youth club.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've 26 youth clubs across the county back up and running again.
So it is vibrant, but not where we're at.
Not as many volunteers as before, not as many members as before in certain pockets, but we just have 2 new youth clubs have come on board there in the last month. So Convoy Youth Club has just set up and is starting at the end of May, and Sleeve League Additional Needs Youth Club is going to be set up by September as well too. So we're happy to have new groups coming on at any stage.
Talk to us about volunteers. There's always a recruitment drive on, I suppose. So how do people become volunteers with younger people?
Well, there's a bit of legalities to start with, because you can't work or volunteer with children, young people, or vulnerable adults unless you're Garda vetted.
Which is fine. I think we need to get away from that being I think that offers protection for everybody.
It does.
And shouldn't be seen as a barrier or something to be afraid of. It's a simple enough process, and it's a child protection process, but it's good for the adults as well.
Absolutely. And it's so that's the first step. So a community will come together and decide that they want to be involved to create a youth club, and then they bring Donegal Youth Service in, or another agency that could be similar, and we support the volunteers then to get themselves established, to openly recruit and advertise for volunteers. But if a club's already established and somebody wants to volunteer, they approach the local main volunteer of that club, get the Garda Vetting form, a semi casual interview around why you want to get involved, and then we put them through their paces, get the induction training done, support them to be a member of the youth club, and obviously to encourage others that are interested as well too. So we've tried to expand our reach a little bit now this time with the new communities, with the Ukrainian community coming in, because sometimes there was a lack of understanding that you can't just come in to volunteer without going through a due process. So we've teamed up with the Donegal Volunteer Centre, and they have translated one of our posters into Ukrainian so that the parents understand what it means to have a youth club or a youth service in the area, and that they can send their children and become involved as well.
And I suppose, you know what, I think there's 1,500 Ukrainians in Donegal schools at the moment. It's extra numbers. It's a way of also increasing integration, although that's happening in schools already, but also increasing numbers at youth clubs.
Yeah, and it's the social English is important. Academic study is very, very important, but to learn just conversational English and to make friends.
Well, the academic study comes easier.
It does.
With the English, of course, as well, doesn't it, for everybody?
It does. So one interlinks with the other.
Yeah, and in terms of training too, safeguarding training is also in place too. I mean, these are the great strides, I think. I see this as great, as positives, personally speaking, and not anything to be afraid of or offended by, you know. But that's all done as well too, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I facilitate the training, safeguarding for children and young people, and it's accredited by the National Youth Council of Ireland. So once you get your certificate, that's you ready to go and help out in the youth club.
Is it tough for you, Hannah, balancing, you know, your schoolwork, your own social life, and working with young people, or do you like to be busy and there's plenty of time? I don't know if you play sports as well, or is this your sort of after school outlet for you?
I do sports. I also volunteer at Citadel Gymnastics Club. and it's really, I don't find myself stuck between doing anything. It was a wee bit harder there coming up to the mocks for my junior cert, but it's not bad whenever you know the days that you're available. And I think it's really great being able to go down because it's fun being able to show them all stuff, and it's not that much pressure doing schoolwork and volunteering or anything.
Yeah, because you're supported as well, Hannah, in the work that you're doing. You're not just you're getting support too from the higher ups in the youth club as well. Are you doing anything for Easter, or do you have Easter off, or what's the plan?
We have Easter off, and just before Easter we went to Belfast, the Priestley Youth Club. We went to the zoo and to Airtastic, and coming up.
This is pretty clever what you're doing here, isn't it, Hannah? You're getting trips to You're getting trips to Belfast, aren't you?
Well
all
earned.
Expense paid on the front seat.
Well earned, I have to say.
And coming up soon now we have a quiz.
Yeah.
So there'll be prizes, and I think most of our youth club is going to be going to it. I think it'll be great for them, and then there's an end of the year trip that everyone loves, because we always go away somewhere and it's great fun. Everyone with your friends. And
brilliant, well done, Hannah. And as I say, well deserved and well earned, and you have an important role at these things as well. So I want to talk a little bit more to, I don't think with my two eldest boys it ever really came across me or my radar for them to get involved in youth clubs. I kind of went down trying to get them involved in sports and all that type of stuff. Maybe I'm kind of typical, Jennifer, am I, in that maybe we as parents and guardians don't necessarily know that there's maybe a great youth club in our area that's great for the young people. What are the benefits? Because 27, 28 of them around the county, so there's plenty of them, isn't there? So what are the benefits as you see it for young people involved in a youth club, and what are the age categories?
Well, I have 4 kids myself, from 14 to 21. And they never would have been greatly involved in the youth clubs either until the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So they went to secondary school. My daughter's big into Citadel as well. She was started off as one of the young leaders, and now she's a qualified coach. They have put her through all training. She's in Cork at the moment. I can boast about her now. She's in Cork at the moment doing her level 2 WAG and through Citadel. Citadel is a great wee club as well, where they encourage the young gymnasts to go further. If they want to go down that route, they take them down that route. And it doesn't cost a fortune, which is a big thing for every parent at the current stage of things. They get what they put into it if they work hard at it and they show enthusiasm, which every group is the same. I've been involved volunteering since a teenager myself, starting off maybe from civil defence right up Special Olympics, and at the moment the Planet Youth that's involved in at the moment, and I work as an SNA as well myself.
And I don't want to make it transactional, because that's not really what maybe the motivation for people is, but there's absolutely no doubt that it helps you as an individual grow and learn and understand, but also it looks really, really good in the CV as well.
It does look good in the CV.
And it could be a pathway to a different career altogether as well, of course.
There's millions of ways it can help young people other than just building their self-confidence and building their own toolkit of skills. I mean, every person alive has a toolkit of skills that they pick up along the way, and volunteering actually offers a lot more doors that way, that they can learn from others, learn by example. Training courses, yes, definitely, but even the social aspect of it. I mean, it's great to get them away from the front of them screens for a while. As a parent, it's just nice to move them out, although that's an important skill as well, moving forward in the future, definitely. But I think the interaction face-to-face, being able to have a conversation, just being able to talk about what's happening around you, even, hello, how are you doing?
And you know what? It is a little bit of a dying art, casual conversation.
Definitely. I even sit and watching my own grandparents, my in-laws, my parents, and the conversations that you used to have around the table are nothing like what you have now. Now at a teenager you get a grunt. Majority of the time it takes a wee bit of pulling out just to get that bit of conversation going sometimes. And you can see the child that's been out there and been socialised that way, and it really improves their confidence.
It could just be us, the parents, they're grunting at, though, you see.
Well, that's all they hear anyway, apparently. We know nothing. We're ancient. We haven't lived.
Yeah, last time we spoke, there was and we appealed for volunteers to come forward. There was a big uptake, wasn't there?
There was indeed. I think it was late August, early September I was here looking to recruit for the new youth club year, and we managed to get 15 people registering an interest.
That's brilliant. That's a great return, isn't it?
Really was fantastic. fantastic. And then I facilitated and delivered the Open College Network Youth Leader Training. So they all qualified in December at level 2, and they're waiting on their certificates now, and there'll be a presentation ceremony after that. So there are opportunities for going forward. We've had volunteers that have come through, that have gone through their level 2, gone to Biggie University to do the pre-vocational certificate at level 4, and then gone on to do degrees. So we do support people if that's the chosen career. We've also had placement students and doing social sciences who have decided, I like the placement here, I think I want to be a youth worker. So we know what we do works.
And was it across the board, those that signed up to be youth workers in terms of demographics, backgrounds, that type of thing?
Yep. So we had people from Inishowen, from over the west, and from east for Planet Youth area, and also from Central and Letterkenny.
So do you want to make that call again then? Let's see if we can top 15.
Okay.
Who do you want to speak to this morning?
I want to speak to anybody aged 16 plus that's interested in giving something back to the community, to helping out with young people, to progress in their own personal social development, and getting a qualification along the way and having fun.
And even if the first contact's just to chat,
Yep.
right? Because we can't cover everything in this conversation as much as we'd like to. What is a good way for people to get in contact with you or those that you work with, just to have a conversation about what the options are, what it might mean, how much time might be required, what's available in what areas? You know, there's lots of questions there that I can't sort of go through for everyone listening.
Sure, and every youth club has a different set opening hours and times and expectations and levels of delivery or expectations. So if they want to ring the office at 07491 29630, or ring me on my mobile 086 381 7959, and I'm sure the details will be here with
We'll
you
keep
anyway.
those numbers. And are you open next week?
We are.
Right, okay, good. No, it's just in case people are ringing that from Tuesday onwards, I would imagine. Anything you want to add, Jennifer?
Just get up, get out, and if it's only an hour a week you can give it, because you get so much more back.
Yeah, and that is the type of, you know, at the lower level commitment that you have to give here. You know what I mean? You're not giving up 3 hours every evening.
Well, if you want something done, ask somebody who's busy. That seems to be the way all the years I've been doing volunteering. If somebody who's flat out is the person that gives the hour.
And we all know them, don't we? We all know those people that you think you've no more time left in the day, but they manage to sign up to another thing.
Yeah. You go to a meeting, sit in your hand and keep your
Mouth
zip
shut.
closed.
You keep telling yourself that, but I don't think you're going to stop anytime soon. All right. And Hannah, what do you know yet what you might want to do with your career? You're so young, and we put too much pressure, I think, on people too young to sort of see where they want to go. But is there anything that's interesting you at the moment that you might want to pursue after you finish school?
It kind of changes about a lot, but for now I'm stuck with teaching or something to do with that childcare. Or I might even continue down. I'm a young leader myself at Citadel.
Yeah.
If I continue down coaching. So it just kind of depends where I go with it.
But the feeling is that, you know, when you're doing it now, you'd like to work with young people.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's exciting too. So this is brilliant for you, isn't it? It's amazing learning exercise, and you're doing brilliant stuff as well. And I'm sure the kids love you.
Oh yeah.
I've no doubt
I'm the
about
favourite.
that. That's what they tell you. No, I'm messing up. No doubt about that. Is there anything any of you want to add just before we wrap things up?
No, we're delighted to be invited back again, and we're actively recruiting. We really appreciate the volunteers that are helping out across the county and across the country. They're unsung heroes. They don't often get recognition, and when we do have recognition events, they don't nominate themselves, so they sometimes don't get nominated for things, you know. So a big shout out to everybody that helps out.
All right, and our when is the actual Youth Work Ireland celebrating? When is the actual Volunteers Week?
It's now. We're in the middle of it now. Yeah,
okay, excellent.
So it finishes on Sunday.
Are nominations closed?
Well, there's no nominations this year.
Right.
It's just celebrating your local volunteers. So each
Brilliant,
young person
that'll
in
do.
the club nominated their own favourite leader.
Excellent. That's the way. So everyone gets the recognition they rightly deserve. Okay, so if you want to get involved in volunteering, we have the numbers here for you to contact. It's simple. Garda vetting is mandatory. That's to protect the children and protect you before commencing any duties. And I say, hopefully now we're moving away from that being a blocker or a dirty word or something. It's what we want, isn't it?
100%.
And also there'll be induction training and safeguarding training dependent on your area. You can chat to the team and they'll tell you what's available, how much time and all that kind of stuff, how much time you have, see what it matches. And then there's ongoing support, which I think is an important element of that too, Charlene, which you talked of.
Yeah, it's vital. And the clubs it's not an inspection visit, it's a support visit that we give when we come out, and we're friendly on first name terms with all the volunteers that we come into contact with in the clubs, and they value having us out with them as well too for that support.
And Jennifer, just another shout out to parents with young people that maybe aren't aware that might be a youth club close to them, and say, I wouldn't mind enrolling my young person in something like this. Is there a go-to point where they can get more information?
Planet Youth, for example, we have our Facebook page set up, so there's information there. There's posters goes out in the community at every stage. They're fairly proactive in that aspect. Listen, we're not hard to find either. We're in Chestnut Road beside the Navanny Grill behind Michael Henny's. We're not hard to find. There's definitely, I know it's difficult, it is, but we find once we get the kids in, they tend to enjoy it.
They
Most
want
of
to
them come back again.
Yeah, exactly.
I say we have the 4 national groups as well. Like, we have very diverse community at the moment. We're all learning. I'm still learning. Haven't learned to speak Nigerian or anything yet at the minute, but it's a battle with that kind of aspect. But generally, kids are free and they want to get out and they want to have fun and they want to learn new things, and we're there to help if we can.
And you know what, fun and involvement and stuff, you don't need words for that really, do you, either? So that's how you bridge those gaps until such time as you brush up on your Nigerian and whatever other languages you might require.
We had a bunch of European kids in there we did Easter camp. We ran there last night and the night before, and last week we learned how to paint eggs, and we had to learn how to not suck eggs, blow eggs.
Right, okay.
Pen holes into the eggs, and we must have got 2 hours of laughter out of that trying to, we were afraid in case they'd swallow the egg. But we're learning from other countries as well. Kids are bringing everything to us, and every night I go in, I'm learning new things.
Yeah, okay.
So I hope the kids are getting this.
And the more volunteers are, the more time it gives other people as well, because you don't get a small group of people doing all the heavy lifting. It's spread around. Okay. Listen, it's been lovely speaking to you again. Charlene Logue, thank you for coming back into us. Charlene is Youth Outreach Manager with the Donegal Youth Services. Check out Donegal Youth Services for more information on what we're talking about. We've got the contact details here. We want to recruit more volunteers because it's very rewarding and it's very helpful. Jennifer from Planet Youth, thank you so much as well. We really appreciate your time. And last but definitely not least, Hannah, 16, from Creeslough Youth Council, who is a young leader and doing an excellent job, it seems, by all accounts. Thank you, Hannah, for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more in the programme after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Farm planning permissions hit by major obstacles. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal who is behind a flood of planning problems for sheds, tanks and milking parlours. We have the latest on fertiliser prices, how to maximise your suckler payment, calls for levies on agri-food exports, top tips for completing your BIS application, tax increases on loaders and teleporters. Are you compliant? And in Irish Country Living, enjoy our inspirational Easter recipes and kids' puzzles.
Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Teagasc, Donegal, in association with ICBF and Borbia, are holding a suckler breeding farm walk on Thursday, 6th of April at 6 p.m. on the farm of Neville Miles, Ballyshannon, F94A3Y5. Topics include the new suckler carbon efficiency programme, maximising cow performance and replacement strategies. All are welcome.
Let BizPrint the printers help with your business marketing and printing to get your 2023 off to the right start. BizPrint the printers, Port Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 77955 or see bizprint.ie.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. All the kids are back playing football with longer days and shorter nights. Kids football boots from only €25, available in Velcro or lace. Check our new range of kids boots, shorts, socks and accessories. Visit our new club room with quarter zips, t-shirts and matching bottoms for your favourite local club. Click on Teamwear at bmcsports.ie for more details.
Visit the Inishowen Co-op home build event at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Saturday, April 15th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meet the suppliers for expert advice on all your home build needs. Micah support available on the day. See Facebook for more details.
Okay, so another group of volunteers are those that work really hard in the community to keep our areas looking absolutely stunning. I think anyone who listens to this show on a regular basis knows how much respect I have for them, and they're highly respected in their local communities as well. The Donegal winners of the 2022 Super Value Tidy Towns Awards for the North West and West region were announced. The County Award winner was Buncrana, so fair play to Buncrana, the County Award winner. Great things happening up there, I'm told, in terms of just having the place looking beautiful. I drive through it reasonably regularly and I concur. And also, it's often a challenge in a bigger town to do well in these competitions, but Letterkenny was highly commended. So congratulations to everyone involved in Letterkenny as well. So some of the North West and West medalists 2022 for this area. Buncrana got a gold medal. Letterkenny got a gold medal. Carragart got a bronze medal. Glenties a bronze medal. Moville a bronze medal. And Raphoe a bronze medal too. Castlefin Tidy Towns, congratulations to they. They won the Bat Conversion Ireland Award, which might be an interview in and of itself. Dunlow Tidy Towns were the youth category winner in the Sustainable Development Award, so well done. The future is in safe hands, hopefully. And last but not least, the Gaeltacht Award went to beautiful Carragart. Okay, so well done to all of you who were involved in that. And just whilst we're in that mood, I want to wish a happy birthday to Irene McLaughlin on her 60th birthday today. Happy birthday, Irene. Wishing you a great day from all the McGrory family. And good morning. It's a beautiful sunny one. Happy Easter to you and all the families, and to all at Highland Radio. Hope the Easter bunny comes. Enjoy your break and chat with you soon. Have a good day. Safe home from Mary, Catherine and Andrea in Desert Martin. What a lovely message. Okay. In the next hour, David James is going to be joining us for a chat about his career, which is going from strength to strength. We'll hear his new single as well, and a new record deal he's recently acquired. And you heard from Daniel O'Donnell during the week too. Full of praise for David. Good to celebrate your own. I'm borrowing straight out of the Late Late Show handbook. We're not desperate for guests, by the way, and I'm not raiding the Highland Radio canteen. That's not what we're at. But we have a really talented young star working for us here. And you know what? No bother in celebrating that as well. But you have about 10, maybe 15 minutes to enter our €15,000 competition. We are going to be giving away a prize worth €15,000 in under an hour. It's a €10,000 holiday voucher with thanks to our friends at Atlantic Travel. One big splurge. The holiday of a lifetime, daisy chain around the world till your 10,000 is exhausted, or multiple holidays, a couple of years for the next few years. I don't know what you'll want to do with it, but that's there for you. You'll also have €5,000 in cash for you to spend. You can save it for the holidays or spend it right now. That will be yours immediately. €5,000 in cash. It costs a tenner to enter. I talk an awful lot about the cost of living on this show. Very well aware that this is beyond people. But for some people, they have it and they want to have a bit of fun with it. And you can do so by going onto our website, highlandradio.com. Click the link there and you can buy your ticket, one for a tenner. You can buy multiple tickets. They get cheaper the more you buy, either for yourself or group in with other people or for gifts. It's completely up to you. If you want to give us a call, we'll hopefully sort you out as well. 07491 25,000. The numbers are being allocated to people all morning and they're going into the draw drum, which you'll be able to watch live being accessed in the next hour for that winning prize. Okay, I have Marie to join me very shortly, but I have one more quick break to catch up on. Stay right where you are.
Could it get any better as a senior citizen? No sitting in traffic trying to get to work. Heading off on midweek breaks. Out for a bite to eat whenever it suits. And now that bite to eat costs even less at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny, with 15% off after 3 every weekday when you spend €15. Meet up for a chat and a bite to eat Monday to Friday with an extra 15% off the menu for all senior citizens at Kelly's Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Letterkenny Medics is a new private clinic open on the Port Road, Letterkenny. Dr. Mohammed El Preya and Dr. Ripu Singh are offering daily appointments from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days per week, with services including full cardiac screening, weight loss and health checkups, minor injuries, minor surgical procedures, joint injections and chronic pain management, with full medical consultations up to 30 minutes. To book your appointment, go to letterkennymedics.ie. Letterkenny Medics. We listen if you want to talk.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van. farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance. They quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Easter sale now on. Evolve Clothing Superstore. 2 floors of men's essential styles and fashions in casual wear, streetwear, formal wear and suiting. Plus over 200 styles of footwear. Easter sale now on. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, now the weather forecast is looking quite good for the northwest for today and tomorrow. I'll get it open for you here right now. My apologies. I do this every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and it must be very annoying to listen to. A bright and largely dry day with sunny spells and just isolated showers. Highest temperatures of 9 or 10 degrees in a light to moderate northwesterly breeze. Now, Marie joins me on the programme now. Marie, and I appreciate you coming onto the radio. I'm sure you don't want to, but it is an important issue and you're helping us raise it, and I really appreciate that, Marie.
Okay, thank you.
Right, now, you have children with autism and services for them have changed really quite a lot, haven't they, over the last couple of years. Can you tell us the way it was and what's changed since, Marie?
Well, I suppose it's in particular Drumbo House that's based in Stonehorler. It's a respite service for children and adults with special needs. It would provide day and overnight respite. It's actually been closed now to those looking for respite since March 2020. My understanding at the minute is that there's adults there that have special needs that are living there until they find, long-term accommodation for them. I think 2 maybe are ready to move on, but I don't think there seems to be any accommodation available for the other 2 people there. And now, look, I understand there's a housing crisis. It must be very difficult to source housing in this case, but this service now that has been, effectively closed to us. Our families that are looking, for the respite service for the last 3 years.
Of course, Marie, and you have to. It's perfectly fine, isn't it, for you to talk about your experience and what's best for your children. We know you're not trying to take away from anyone else's problems. It's the responsibility of the authorities to make sure that we're not sort of pitched against each other for services. So, before we talk about what services are there now, when they were working before COVID, what kind of services, Marie, were you able to avail of, and how often?
Well, my oldest daughter was availing of the service, say, once every 3 weeks, and she would get after school respite, but it would have been open to her then, to have overnight respite. During the whole pandemic, my next 2 children who have autism, I have 4 altogether, they qualified for that service, but Drumbo House has never been open in that time, so they've never been able to use it. Now, we have been offered Ballymacool House in Letterkenny, but my understanding is, Ballymacool House, it would probably serve Letterkenny and surrounding areas as far as I know. So, would that mean now that will be taking services away from families in that area? Do you know what I mean?
Because presumably they have a capacity limit and you're adding in the Finn Valley capacity.
Yeah,
I get it.
Limited number of hours, limited number of workers, and obviously, that area, that's their service for their area and those families. So it's kind of diluting the service. I mean, my children, they would have a right to a service in their own area. And it's great, maybe another service.
We have gone backwards in terms of providing services for children with autism and their families. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, because at the very least, the service has been removed from your local area and centralised into Letterkenny. That is, with the best will in the world, a backward step in terms of service provision for children with autism.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, I've met so many parents, so many mothers lately that have told me that it's at this time now that they actually need those services. I mean, everybody was trying to cope in isolation during the pandemic as best they could, But now, like, when we've seen that all the other services are getting back to normal, you know, it seems like this one has just kind of been left behind.
And when you raised your concerns, you weren't really given any good news or positive indications, were you, Marie, which is really difficult to swallow?
Well, somebody from the HSE, more or less, like when they were offering the other services, Ballymacool House, you know, you have these other options. They were basically saying it could be years before the service is up and running again, which that's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
And as I say, I know that they're, you know, for the people that stay in the house at the minute, they need that house. They need somewhere to live. But, I mean, like, come on. Like, for years. So those families in the Fun Valley area will not have a respite service for maybe a year, maybe 2 years.
And it's really important for the children, but I think it's really, really important for parents to be able to continue giving their children the excellent care that they do. Sometimes something comes up, someone gets sick, you need to head away, or you just need to have a break. You know, we don't want. It's tough, and it doesn't make a massive difference, but maybe it's enough of a difference to stop that burnout or something.
Of course. I mean, there's like issues like, say, family weddings. I mean, myself and my husband, we turned down all invitations to those, you know, family events, family weddings, because we just wouldn't be able to have someone, you know, to mind the children for that length of time, and we couldn't bring them with us. Or there's times like there was a death in the family there, and we did get someone to look after the children, but, you know, for those extended periods of time, it's when you really do miss out on these kind of services.
Right, Marie, leave it with us, okay? We're going to make inquiries to try and get something on the record as to when these services might return. I want to hear from other parents as well who availed of this service in the past. And keep a head of steam up, a bit of momentum on this off the back of what you've spoken to us about. And I think it's really important, and I think it's important for the Finn Valley that we all fight this together, you know, in a constructive way to try and get services returned. And I'm behind you 100% on it, Marie, and we're going to try our best to work with you to see what we can do, okay?
Thanks very much. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We can't promise anything, but we can try and get answers. All right, Marie, God bless.
Okay,
love to you and all your family. Okay, take care.
Are you still struggling with slow and unreliable broadband? Imagine is connecting thousands of homes to high-speed broadband in your area right now. So why wait? With Imagine rated excellent by Trustpilot, you'll soon be working from home with ease, streaming your favourite shows and sports uninterrupted. Join the thousands of connected homes and businesses today at imagine.ie. Service subject to availability, terms and conditions apply.
Are you tired of unreliable and inefficient appliances? Upgrade to Bosch, the brand that delivers superior quality and performance. Plus, their advanced technologies and energy-efficient features will save you money on your utility bills. Choose Bosch and experience the difference for yourself. Speak to our expert team now at Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Like cracking Easter offers from Aldi. Cadbury Dairy Milk Chunky Egg 400 gram, only $9.99. Plus Super 6 fresh Irish meat and fish offers, like smoked Coley fillets save 13%, only $2.59. And milk chocolate filled mini eggs for 79¢, which saves even more of your Easter bunny money. Nah, I don't like it like that. I love it. Aldi, everyday amazing. Chunky egg offer limited to 2 per customer while stocks last.
The CFC Interiors Dairy Stock Disposal Sale starts Easter Monday. Due to overstock, an incredible £1.5 million worth of stock must go. Don't miss our highest ever discount on selected ranges across all departments. The Stock Disposal Sale at CFC Interiors Campsie Dairy starts Easter Monday.
with all the stories that matter across the Northwest. It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we are with you for another hour. Stay right where you are. We're going to be giving away €15,000. David James is in studio and much more besides. But at 11:11, let's get a news update now with Donald.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The chair of the Green Party in Donegal says it's vital that there is a strong competition authority in place in Ireland to ensure that inflation isn't used as an excuse for profiteering. Michael White told Greg on the 9 to Noon Show this morning there is evidence of prices being increased in several sectors for profit rather than as a response to prevailing economic conditions. Funds which should have been used to build around 4,000 social and affordable housing units went unspent in recent years. Figures obtained by Sinn Féin show that almost €1 billion intended to be used to provide affordable homes wasn't used between 2020 and 2022. The Department of Housing is blaming the halting of building during COVID-19 lockdowns as the primary reason. Sinn Féin's Uno Bryn says that just doesn't hold water. There is a call to relax planning rules around log cabins. The Rural Independence Group says a temporary relaxation of the law for a period of 5 to 10 years could help ease the housing crisis. Matty McGrath, the TD, says if people were allowed to construct them on their own land or in gardens, it would lower the waiting list for homes. €8 million in funding has been announced for 140 archaeological heritage projects across the country as part of the government's Community Monuments Fund this year. Almost €385,000 has been awarded to 7 projects in Donegal under the scheme. Troubles victims are meeting with the Taoiseach in Belfast today. They want the Irish government to promise to take legal action against the UK government if the Troubles Legacy Bill, which includes a conditional amnesty, becomes law. Grania Taggart from Amnesty International says there's significance in holding the meeting just days before the anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. And Aer Lingus says it's working to fix a problem with its website and app. The airline says flights are expected to operate as normal today, but there is a risk of some delays. The airlines apologised, saying customers should allow extra time for check-in and check their local airport's website for flight information. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much indeed. We're back with our next guest after the short break.
It's not just that Sarah can't rely on the rains to come this year. It's not just that the only water left could cost her life. It's not just that she has seen all her crops destroyed and she is struggling to feed her little boy. Like thousands of parents living in regions devastated by drought, Sarah is living in fear, and it's not just. This Lent, your help can make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Trocra. Together for a just world.
Now, we read that Donegal has 2 high-powered motorcycles accessible to Gardaí for routine patrols and to attend high-profile events such as ministerial visits and events like the Donegal Motor Rally. But 75% of that time, the bikes are sitting idle because of a lack of training for local Gardaí. Garda Sergeant Jim Collins is Assistant Secretary of the Donegal branch of the Association of Sergeants and Inspectors and joins us to give us more details. Good morning, Jim. Thanks very much for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
Right, OK. And it is as outlined, is it? It's simply these bikes aren't being used to the full potential because of a lack of training. I take it Gardaí want to and are willing to use them, but aren't being trained to allow them to do so. Is it as simple as that?
That pretty much is, Greg, unfortunately. In Donegal, as you quite rightly say, we have 2 motorcycles, and at present we have 2 motorcyclists trained. So in a situation where we have 4 units covering 24-hour period, 2 units cover 24 hours, 4 units on and off completely. So as such, at any time we're only able to deploy a quarter of our resources. And at a time when resources are at a premium, the utilisation of all resources is a very important thing. And whilst I was putting forward the motion at the conference in Galway, we had great support from our colleagues in the Garda College, who are the motorcycle school as such, and they were able to inform us that there has been no form of training either at a standard level or an advanced level since 2018. So, I mean, that in itself tells you the story of the deficit. And obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, and most of the people will be aware, the number of people coming to retire in the Gardaí is increasing. So we're losing a lot of people who are qualified motorcyclists. So they're retiring. There's nobody to replace them. So hence there's a great deficit, you know.
And we have these too, and for annual leave, sick leave, whatever it might be, you can see how there could be gaps there. Is this part of the same problem in terms of the conversation we've had in the past, whereby there are Gardaí driving patrol cars that can't use the blue lights and sirens? They aren't trained to the level to be able for them to pursue a suspect, for an example. Is this part of the same training problem, or is it kind of the same but separate for the bike lads and lassies, if you know what I mean?
It's similar, but it's of a different nature insofar as someone who has qualified, who has a full license, can get what's called a CBD1. So basically, one of the instructors will come up, they'll take them to a very basic training course to say, look, you're capable of driving a patrol car, but you're not entitled to use blue lights, you're not entitled to pursue, etc., etc. But with motorcyclists, you have to be brought in from day one. You know, you may have you may be an advanced biker in your own private life, but until such time as you've done a standard motorcycle course, you cannot be deployed as a Garda motorcyclist. You know, and that's regardless of people how qualified or how capable or competent they are as a biker in their ordinary life. You know, so that's where, I mean, you know, you can fill gaps in patrol cars, although it mightn't be really appropriate. But, you know, to be a motorcyclist, you have to be trained. And that's a course that lasts, the standard course is 4 weeks long, you know.
So in an ideal world, this is a motion raised at a high-profile event. The higher ups would say, oh, my word, this is embarrassing. We'll get on this straight away and throw some resources at this. Is that how it played out?
Well, as I say, we had great backing from the Garda College branch, who, as I say, are responsible for most of the training. Now, there is a driving school. The issue, as I say, and when we're able to say that there's been no training, either standard or advanced motorcycle training, since 2018. Now, obviously, we are cognizant of the fact of COVID, etc., which did have a serious impact on training throughout the Gardaí, and obviously throughout greater life as well. COVID had its implications, but, you know, I think it's something that we must start to reconsider because, I mean, for example, the need for assistance with traffic management from the Gardaí is becoming more and more important. You know, for example, I mean, soon you'll have the Letterkenny 10K. There's a number of tractor runs. There's 5Ks throughout different areas of the county and throughout the country, obviously. Things like the Donegal Rally, where, you know, motorbikes are essential, for example, for maintaining emergency lanes, etc., to get other emergency vehicles to and from their locations if need be. Motorcycles is the most efficient and effective way. You know, you have the agility, get through traffic, get through people, and it clears the way. And for example, in during the rally, we have to import motorcyclists to be able to complete the duties, you know.
I get you. Okay. Well, hopefully there's some progress made in the not too distant future. We want these bikes out in the streets, obviously, and Gardaí do too. But for now, Garda Sergeant Jim Collins, thanks for your time.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you, Chris.
Take care. Sergeant Collins is Assistant Secretary of the Donegal branch of the Association of Sergeants and Inspectors. Right, just a quick update on our draw. We are going to be making that draw very, very shortly. The Trombola is ready. We're ready. Are you ready? You have about 21 minutes now to buy your tickets. You could be winning €15,000 before 12 o'clock. Get them now if you wish. HighlandRadio.com or give us a ring on 07491 25,000. You have time not to miss out. It is completely up to you. But we're waiting to take your calls and to get everyone into that draw drum. Quick break, then we're going to be chatting to Mary T. Sweeney, who's an AIM2 rep. We're going to get an update on a conversation we had last year, I think it was, in relation to the safety of the Old Town Bridge in Letterkenny.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. Lots of tasty food options available at Backstage and Bitas, and Century Cinemas are showing exciting kids movies, comedies, dramas, action movies and more. Call us on 074 91 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Strictly Ballroom the Musical, the award-winning sensation from Baz Luhrmann, is waltzing to the Millennium Forum in a brand new Better Than Ever production from Monday 22nd to Saturday 27th of May. Directed and co-choreographed by Craig Revel Howard and starring Strictly Come Dancing legend Kevin Clifton and Coronation Street's Faye Brooks. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
What is Easter all about, really? Spending time with ones you love, of course. And there's obviously no one I love more than Percy Pig and Colin the Caterpillar. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with them and scoffing their massive faces. I'll be having some FaceTime with Percy's fruit-flavoured chocky face, and I'll be filling my face with Colin's face. These are not just faces, of course they're not. These are M&S Colin and Percy giant chalk faces. Selected stores subject to availability, T's and C's apply.
Enjoy summer with Home Store and More. We have everything you need for garden living. Bring your garden to life with our great range of garden furniture. We've rat and corner sets, dinner sets and much more. And when it comes to barbecues, whether it's gas, charcoal or smoker, we've got what you need to cook up a storm. Also, there's fire pits, chimeneas and patio heaters, gazebos, solar lights, garden decor and much, much more. Visit us in-store or shop online at homestoreandmore.ie. Make your garden your sanctuary. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 12 minutes past 11 now. Mary T. Sweeney, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners.
Before we talk of the updates, remind those who were listening or may not have heard the concerns as it relates to the Old Town Bridge. That's down really, at the bottom of Letterkenny, over into Old Town, close to where the old Dunn Stores is for those from outside the area. There was concerns about its structural stability, I think.
We have multiple people have raised concerns with me and myself looking at it. There's serious cracking and there's capping stones that have been missing off the top, and several recently, more recently as well, the cracking has become more extensive through the bridge. Now, to me, it appears structurally it is beyond just needing pointed. So I've highlighted, and a group of people came together over a year, maybe perhaps nearly 2 years ago we first identified this, and over the years there has been work done, but it must be nearly 5 years ago at least since there was any significant work done. But it's become in a really, really concerning state. And it's escalating.
There's a number of elements to this. Sorry, I beg your pardon, Mary T. There's a number of elements to this too, of course, in terms of the river maintenance, because obviously if silt and other things build up, that puts more pressure, let's just say it like that, on the eyes of the bridge. But also there's the integrity of the bridge itself in terms of safety, but also presumably as well its historical value, Mary T.
Completely. And most people don't realise that the only route, the first route you met coming from Dublin, the Lake Road, was actually the main Dublin road coming into Letterkenny. And, the first crossing point, the first narrow point of the river to cross to get into North Donegal was at the Old Town Bridge, which is where the flight of the Earls and all the historical significance went across the river there at that point. I have written to the Office of Public Works to ask them to consider, I just hear the heritage funding being allocated this morning, but it would be fabulous to hear that by next year that heritage funding will encompass, and I have talked to people in the Heritage Office in the Office of Public Works to ask them to negotiate to try and get funding for the Old Town Bridge because of its significant historical. There was 57 women and children thrown over during the penal days. There's an awful lot of history surrounding the bridge, and it was the main road and route into Letterkenny.
Yeah, but this is what we don't want to lose track of too. When people come to visit our area, it's the places of historical importance that they will that they'll look out. We've got fantastic businesses, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are multinationals, so you can see them everywhere. But you can't see the Old Town Bridge and you can't learn of its devastating history at times and its importance. That's what tourists want to come and see as well. Now, it's one of those things, isn't it, that falls between a number of stools, multiple areas of responsibility. You've had contact from the Office of Public Works, though. What have they said to you?
Well, what they're saying now is they're actually giving me definitive, clarity about who's responsible for what. So they're saying the responsibility of the structural integrity and maintenance of the bridge superstructure lies with the local authority, Donegal County Council in this case. Now, I have also written to them with the same information, Myself and members of the public formed a committee, a general cross-party committee, and we had a presentation in the Station House Hotel. As I say, it must be over 2 years ago at this stage. And as a result, the councillors accommodated us to do a presentation for Donegal County Council in the offices, and it seemed to be, or appeared to be, received very well, discussing the history, the importance of the bridge and the concerns about it. But I find it sad to think that nobody has picked up on this, either most importantly from the structural point, but also from the historical and heritage point for the community. We have some excellent sculptors and arts and crafts people in the community that at least a sculpture could be constructed there to remember those that died there, to the significance of the fight of the Earl, to extend it, to show it was the main route into Letterkenny. And there's loads of things could be done from a cultural and historical and tourism point of view. But the first thing must happen is the bridge must be made safe.
Right, so the OPW are going to do some dredging work. It seems their responsibility is the river then. So that hopefully could prevent flooding that could do further damage or stuff backing up in the eyes and things like that there. Hopefully that might contribute. But in terms of the stability of the structure, repairing it, retaining what's there, the ball's now in the council's court. Is that a fair enough assessment of where we're at?
Yeah, totally in the council's court now. And again, in relation to the council engineers, I have written to the council engineers, the traffic, the engineer in charge of the roads and transport, the culture. So I'm hoping that between them, somebody will pick up on this now. And in advance of the Office of Public Works doing the dredging of the river, if there was immediate plans for a path, even along a short stretch of the river under the Iron Bridge, where the old trains crossed on the Iron Bridge, which is adjacent to it, maybe this would be a great opportunity to work hand in hand with the Office of Public Works and give access down onto the river there in a safe manner, because we've had several, incidents there where people have had to go into the river to help people get out and that, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So maybe this is the time to look at that at the same time and try and, make it an easier access for people using the life rings and that to get people out of the river on that occasion.
Mm-hmm. All right, listen, thanks for the update, Mary T. Sweeney. We'll keep an eye on it with you, of course. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
Have a good day.
Okay.
All right, no problem. Take care of yourself. 08660 25,000. A caller says Peter McVerry's apology over his claim that the Taoiseach overruled Minister of Housing on eviction ban takes away from the real issue of homelessness. Is this forced apology stemming from the media circus which journalists created? What happened there? I don't know if that's really what happened. Father McVerry had a source who gave him this information, and he said it publicly. Now, the Taoiseach had an opportunity to say that that's simply not the case, and he did say that. Now, what you had then too was some politicians having a go at Peter McVerry, who everyone's entitled to a mistake. But that being said, Peter McVerry has apologised to draw a line under it. I'm not sure he's went back to his original source of that information. I think he himself saw that maybe it was distracting from the wider issue and issued that apology to draw a line under it. I still think, given what he's achieved, what he does, what he's doing, he should be somewhat beyond reproach. And if people disagree with him, they do so respectfully. I don't think that happened. I don't think it weakens his position in any way, shape or form. I believe he's apologised to draw a line under it. But he was told that information from a source. And my understanding is he didn't go back to that source to double check. He just wanted to apologise and get it out of the way. No one's beyond reproach. No politician should be beyond being called out. Some don't like it and run away, never to be heard from again. But others also stand up and represent their people. Peter McVerry himself, as I say, he owes the country nothing. And it maybe ended up being a storm in a teacup. It depends. I don't know. Right. Okay, let's go to Kevin now. Hi, Kevin.
How you doing, Greg? Good morning.
I'm doing good. Good to have you on the show. What do you want to talk about?
This sort of come out of your broadcast recently about the terrible tragedy of Mountain Head and people being lost.
Yeah.
There's things I have to say. I've waited for years to say this, but I think the public should know and should be helpful. There's people that wear airtight life jackets who go into boats, and even small boats and big boats, they clip them flat. They're supposed to blow up if you go into the water, and they're supposed to blow up automatically. I know 2 cases where people did go into the water, could have lost their lives, or somebody saw them in time, right? And their type life jacket did not inflate.
Wow. So it was an anchor more than a flotation device then at that point?
Sorry, say it again.
It was more of a hindrance than a flotation device then. It was weighted around their neck, but around their chest, but it did not inflate.
It did not inflate. That is correct. It happened down at the Bay Area, just to the north of Carrick Pier outside Mfull. Guy was actually a few years ago. He was a year or 2 older than me. It also happened in Lochswilly. And somebody from what happened is they were going from what's called the keel boat. People call them yachts, the large boats with the keels on them, and into the small inflatable. And they were climbing down into it. The small inflatable moved, and they fell in. And the reason is quite simple, and a lot of people do this, is they fold these things up, or maybe they buy them along with the boat, the second-hand boat or something like that. They never get them serviced. It's supposed to be serviced a year. There's a sensor in it and a capsule that's supposed to set off automatically.
And they have a lifespan, don't they, effectively, Kevin? I mean, they do have to be maintained. You can't just leave it there for 5-6 years and expect it to work just when you need it. It's kind of dangerous, really, because it can give people a false sense of security.
Totally false, because people can fold them up, throw them into the bit of the car, throw them into what's called the heads, that's up at the front of a boat or something, one of the keel boats, or even get along with the boat when they buy it second hand. They assume it's okay. My recommendation for people, actually, I wouldn't wear one. And I have a background in water sport. I qualified in '83 as a senior Royal Yacht Association instructor, sailing and racing, and also a Norway sports instructor, which meant handling ribs, safety boats for clubs, things like that. So I have a background. We've used bounce aids. Some people use the foam sort of type life jacket and things like that, you know. I would recommend people to wear a bounce aid or a life jacket. Now, it's compulsory in this day and age, I think, in the Republic for the people going fishing commercially to wear a life jacket. But it all depends what type. I've heard the excuse used in the past, particularly by fishermen, that these life jacket type things got in their way of work. Well, if you're in the back of a 14-foot racing dinghy and you're crouched down underneath the boom and you're wearing a bounce aid, it doesn't get in our way at all.
Right, okay. You also have concerns about signage as well. So you would favour a different type of life jacket buoyancy aid than the ones you trigger the inflation of. You also have concerns about signage.
Ones that I used
go ahead, Kevin.
Way back. There was ones that we used as I fitted people out with for training both young and adults in the past. Way back, say about 1980, and it was called Outer Sport. 2 areas of foam in it. Up near the chest, the collar, right? And then another one where if he bent forward, because there was 2 different areas, two bits of foam inside not connected, you could move forward, you could bend, you could do anything.
Yeah.
But it was also an air one that you could put the air in yourself if you needed to, but there was enough in it. It was called Outer Sport, and it was, remember, the designation for it was BS 3595. That's British Standard and all, approved, but approved by the RWA, the Royal Yacht Association. I would wear one of those if I was people. I would probably wear a bounce aid. I've got to point out a very, very important difference. The bounce aid, if you go into the water, does not turn you around, float you face up if you're unconscious, but what's called a life jacket will. There's a difference between the two. The handy thing about the bounce aid, too, is it protects the ribs a bit, maybe protects the spine at the back if you slipped or fell. So you have that sort of wee bit of protection. But I definitely wouldn't wear an air-type life jacket. Look,
but I think with the buoyancy aid too, what they do is they help you. You know, a lot of people hit the water, don't often sometimes realise how cold it is, but it assists you and helps. I think it can help calm the panic to allow you to make your way back to your vessel or to tread the water or whatever might be required until such time as help comes.
You said something quite interesting. You sparked off someone else. People don't appreciate the panic when people go into the water. I'll give you an example. I've saved the lives of 2 people from drowning, one at 3 years old, little female, and a fellow at 15 years old. I got them by the hair. The 15-year-old was half drowned. I'll concentrate on the 15-year-old because the 3-year-old is not terribly far away from where I live, so I won't go into it in detail. It was years ago. The other one was just outside the marina in Fuengirola, south of Malaga in southern Spain. He went out in the day on the beach when the red flags were up. The Mediterranean had blown up. There was a Frenchman with an international 470 the class dinghy. I had already sailed with him in the day or two before it, and there was a Spanish fellow there who wanted to go out for a sail as well. The Frenchman said to me, they've said to us, meaning the people in the local sailing club within the marina, don't go out today. Well, it suited me, that type of weather, and the waves that there were really suited me well. If I hadn't went out that day in the boat, the 15-year-old would have drowned. It's only an act of God that I went out. I said, no, we're going ahead. For those type of conditions, it was grist to the mill for me, okay? So I was on the helm, 3 of us went out, bit of a crowd, an international, 470, which is about 14 foot long. That's 4.7 metres. No, it is approximately that it is. And I saw thousands of people on the beach going bananas. There was no swimmers in the water, couldn't understand it, but I had a look. Then, as the direction we went in, I saw the dark hair in the water. The only thing you see in the water is a head. Very difficult to see in waves. So I sailed towards them. Actually, I sailed that fast, went past them a bit, and you can sail a dinghy backward. People don't believe that. What you do is you push the mainsail out to the other side, reverse the rudder towards you, and she backed right into him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I used the international language with the Spaniard because he didn't speak English. The Frenchman spoke English and Spanish, and I didn't speak any Spanish in those days, right? The Spaniard was going to take off the buoyancy and give it him, but in case we capsized over him, I actually got the Spaniard physically. He was wearing a buoyancy, so he was safe enough, and he was a swimmer, right? And I put the Spaniard in beside him, beside the young Spanish adult sailing with us, you say. So trying to get a body, the fellow was that emaciated, and the strength had gone. Yeah, he's glazed, and I'm nearly vomiting water. It was a bit of a job to get him in because you're talking about a smooth body that's wet. And
he's dead weight too, I'm sure.
We got him into the marina, and the civil guard appeared and took him away. So if I hadn't gone out that day, he was a goner. No, he was half drowned. That leads me on to another thing as well to say, is it was called a secondary drowning. And I think it was an RWA information I got years ago too. There was a man in England who had sort of what I call half drowned, brought in by somebody, stood in a slipway, told people he was all right, and apparently looked half all right.
Yes.
Even though he got a lot of water in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And he went home. By midnight, he was dead.
Wow.
What happened is he ingested salt water into the lungs, some, and into the stomach.
Okay.
The salt got into the bloodstream, poisoned the bloodstream. So if anybody is taken from the water, what I consider having consumed water, was the stomach or the lungs, well, people wouldn't know, okay? Whether it's a child or an adult, my recommendation is straight to hospital.
Okay, well, listen, Kevin, unfortunately, time is against us. You may well have saved a life in that conversation. We appreciate your time. We're heading into the long weekend. We're heading into better weather, I hope, and we're going to be back out enjoying the water. And we want to make sure that people, as many people die in inland water and open waters, die in car crashes more, in fact, as well. So we need to be really careful. Right. Kevin, thank you very much indeed for your time. I really appreciate that.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Farm planning permissions hit by major obstacles. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal who is behind a flood of planning problems for sheds, tanks and milking parlours. We have the latest on fertiliser prices, how to maximise your suckler payment, calls for levies on agri-food exports, top tips for completing your BIS application, tax increases on loaders and teleporters. Are you compliant? And in Irish Country Living, enjoy our inspirational Easter recipes and kids' puzzles.
Inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about a great tumble dryer that will save you time and energy. The Blomberg 8kg dryer has a selection of sensor programs that allows you to decide exactly how dry you'd like your laundry, and smart technologies to help you reduce your energy costs. It also comes with an amazing 7-year parts and labour warranty. Call into us and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Hop to Tesco for great food and value this Easter. Get Tesco finest sides like creamy mash and potato gratin 450 gram and more, now 2 for €6. Tesco finest award-winning Irish Angus Carvery rib roast was €21.99 per kilo, now half price. And Tesco finest Irish whole and half leg of lamb was €15.99 per kilo, now also half price with your Tesco Club card or app. You can't say finer than that. Tesco, every little helps. Products subject to availability. T's and C's apply. Excludes express stores.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Thanks to Vinny and Eileen for sending in a nice Easter card. It's very much appreciated. I just want to recognise that. We're in studio now with David James, country music sensation. Things are going from strength to strength for you, David. Is that how it feels? Because you're at the coalface, it's your life.
While it does seem on the surface things are going well, it's always a work in progress, but very happy with how things have been going recently, especially since the comeback after COVID, and really starting to get back into the swing of things now, and things are starting to move.
Yeah, because I've spoke to other artists in the past, and they were going great guns before COVID. You know, and it's a momentum game, really, isn't it?
It is.
And then it stopped for some. So you're have got yourself into the position whereby that upward curve continues.
Yeah, and listen, you hate to sort of bring the COVID thing up again, but now looking forward, as you say, it's all about momentum, and heading into the summer, we've got an extremely busy schedule. And now there's a balance because we've got recordings coming out along with the gigs again, so it's lovely, and we've got a full album coming now on the 12th of May as well.
Excellent. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but what we'll do is we'll listen to your new single. It's called The Promise. And some great people behind it. You're, of course, at the front, but who wrote this for you?
So the song was written by Darren Holden, who is a member of the High Kings, incredibly successful band, and also by Mark Roberts, who represented Ireland in the Eurovision, but he's also wrote a lot of great songs, and a presenter on Galway Bay FM as well. So the two lads are incredibly talented, great songwriters, and it was really, really nice of them to give me this song, and for them to approve of my version. You know, I changed it slightly from what they sent me. It was great. So,
all right, and it's called The Promise. We'll hear it now, then we'll chat more. You have to dedicate it to who I'm told is your biggest fan, Kiva. So if you could look into that camera and dedicate The Promise to Kiva.
Hi, Kiva. Hope you're keeping good.
All right, listen. This is The Promise. It's David James' new track. We're going to talk about what's coming up for David. Some exciting news in terms of a record contract and a busy couple of months ahead. But let's take this track now. It is called The Promise.
To the sound of the ocean as it carries your dreams to the shore. Gone like the snows of last winter, lost like the promise of yore. Where the land of desire made plenty, where your fortune was there to behold, and the dark distant days of our childhood, a story that's no longer told. We were guided by God as our anchor, but the devil, he led us astray. Every last dollar we bled for, the loneliness took it away. Determined we struggled together, blinded by the lights of Times Square, but the thought and the smell of the arrived here last Thursday with the excitement he could hardly contain. Dead on his feet from the journey, dying to be part of the game. Laden with tales of the Glenties, I couldn't but help shed a tear. For if God saved a prayer for old Ireland, would anyone choose to be here? Together we're lost in a land where we feel so alone, and the deafening cry of regret is calling me home. And if ever the promise I made I can finally fulfill, I will rest in the land of my father, Glencolumkill. I will rest in the land of my father, in
All right, that is David James there, and the Promise. David's still with us. When you're picking a song, David, you know, because that's modern, but it's a bit traditional there as well, and you have to play to your audience, but you've got fans from, 4 to 104, and you know, maybe either side of it. It's a tough one, is it, to pick a song? Because you have to put a lot into it. You want to make sure you make the right choice.
It is tough, but you're never going to be able to predict how a song is going to go down either, because you could go into a studio and have a song and you would think this song is going to set the world alight, and you might release it and never hear tell of it again. It's just so unpredictable. And then you would have a song that maybe you think that's not going to do that well, and you put it out there and it gets a great reaction. But I guess the first thing that I look for whenever I'm picking a song to record is something that I enjoy singing. And The Promise, the first time I heard it, I knew that I was really going to enjoy singing it and performing it. And then it has a lovely connection with Donegal there as well, in Glencolumkill. And we filmed a video actually down in Glencolumkill.
Lovely job, actually. I saw that, yeah.
I just want to say to the people down there, from the Sleeve League boat tours to everyone in Glencolumkill down at the museum, they were just so appreciative, and everyone in the pub as well, the little pub scene, everyone looked after us so well. Lovely people, and such a gem on our doorstep too.
Yeah, indeed. I was down there last week myself, coincidentally. Not making a video or anything exciting. I just accidentally drove past the turn off to Sleeve League. And that's actually a true story. But it was great to get down to Glencolumkill as well. So in our... obviously you've got fans all over the place, but we're a small country, right? So how do you judge success here? So if The Promise does really well, is it about sort of getting more people to come to your concerts and the trips or whatever it might be? Is it downloads? Is it plays on Spotify and YouTube? Like, how do you gauge success in 2023? I wonder, not you, but the artists in general.
Yeah, you see, when you say that, success is measured by the artist. Whenever I started out 10 years ago, success for me would have been genuinely to perform at a Highland Radio concert.
I get you,
but then you do that, and then your measure of success changes. So for me, I guess this album that I'm releasing now on the 12th of May, if that album would do well and maybe propel my career another step in the right direction, that would be success to me.
Yeah, so it's an onward journey of progression rather than reaching a destination of success, so to speak. Yeah?
For sure. And like, whenever you release a single like The Promise that has been released, and now we're starting to see some reaction from media outlets. We're going to be doing Ireland AM next week. I'm on the 9 till noon show today. All these type of things, once they start to come in, you think, right, this has been successful.
Yeah, I get you. And you recently signed a contract, did you?
I did. Well, I signed this record deal last year. So I did the duet with Daniel, Don't Take the Good Times for Granted, which was written by Shuni Crampsey from Kildare. And Daniel's record label, Demon Records, they released the song for us. And whenever that had the success that it did at that time, they started to get into talks with me, and they asked me would I send them a few songs that I had recorded, and actually The Promise was one of them. So they really liked the songs that I had sent to them, and I sat down with them. They're based in London, they're based in BBC Studios. So I sat down with them, had a talk, and they offered me a record deal. So I guess it was off the back of the duet with Daniel that this all came about, and to be signed to the same label as him, and you look at the success he's had. It's great. I'm really, really thankful for the opportunity.
And listen, it's a brilliant thing to be able to say in and of itself. But how does this deal assist you? Is it they help with the production and the release and the promotion and stuff, or what was a record deal in this day and age?
They're going to look after the promotion of the album whenever it's coming out, doing PR. And now they're UK based, obviously, because they're BBC. So the hope would be that maybe we might get some traction over in the UK, because, as you mentioned, Ireland is a small pond, and it's nice to do some work outside of home as well. And then they'll also handle the distribution of getting the album into the shops and looking after your recordings and streaming, and even down to the social media side of things. They look after that too, so it's brilliant.
Excellent, which allows you to do focus your attentions on other stuff. Have you the tracks selected now for the new album, which is out on May 12th? So it's only really around the corner, so I presume that's all done.
So the album is all signed and sealed, and it's in production at the minute. So it's a 12-track album. The Promise is going to be on there. Don't Take the Good Times for Granted. Killarney and My Dreams. And then we've done some other nice songs. We've done a version of Far Away in Australia, which is a really, really nice song. And I guess it's sort of relatable for me at the minute, because a lot of my peers, a lot of people my age are making that move to Australia. So it's a nice. When I was recording the song, it did feel quite personal, and I just hope people are going to like the finished product. You know, you put so much time and effort into this thing, and then it's really at the hands of the public to decide if they like it or not, and whether or not it's been a success. So I just really hope that people are going to like it.
And what's the live scene like now in Ireland at the moment, David? Now I know you do gigs elsewhere, but it bounced back well, didn't it?
It did.
Is it the country scene? Is how you describe all the live music scene? Because some of your gigs, you know, you're obviously a big country act, right? But I've seen you perform, and you can go right across the genres, you know what I mean? And you're excellent at getting the crowd involved in all of it. But I mean, obviously, dependent on where you're playing, you'll hone the gig for that. But the scene's good there.
The live scene is good, and you know, it did come back really strong after COVID, and then there was a few worrying months where people were thinking, oh no, the
bubble burst again.
But now it really has started to take off again. Like this Saturday night we're in O'Flaherty's in Buncrana. It's called OTB, so it's OTB Goes Country, and that's sold out. And then Sunday night we're going to be in Belmullet in County Mayo. But no, we're really starting to see great crowds at the gigs again, which is, it's more a sigh of relief than anything. You know, it's great to see, but it's just such a sigh of relief. And for us as performers, when we're on there and we have a great crowd, it just lifts you so much more than maybe a bad night. But I think everyone still has bad nights.
And it is a very supportive scene. Not as necessarily, I'm not part of it, but I'm part of it in the context of this interview. But I mean, I think you had Lisa McEwen here not so long ago.
Yep.
Then you had, and then you're on this show, and I was interviewing Daniel O'Donnell, and he always has a mention for you and sees you as sort of the future of the scene. How important? I think sometimes we still, to some extent, take Daniel for granted in what he's achieved, who he is, and his global recognition, because he's so accessible. I think. How important is it, someone like you, to have that kind of an endorsement from someone like him?
You know, it's huge. I think you said people take him for granted here. People don't realise in Ireland how much of a megastar he is around the world. Like, there's times I'll be talking to him and he's playing in Canada, but he's playing to a 5,000 seater over there. Like, and then he goes to Branson, Missouri, 2,500 people every single day for 3 weeks. Like, the man is just such a huge star. And as you say, he is very accessible, and I think that's one of the most likeable things about him. You know, he came to the concert last Tuesday to do that for Highland Radio, to do that for us as a station, and you know, it was of no real benefit to him in the same sense that it wasn't of any benefit to his career to record with me, but he still did it. And I just hope that if I ever am lucky enough to have a quarter of the success that he's had, that I'll be able to do the same for other people, you know.
And he wanted to dedicate that interview to two things: A, plugging you, and B, remembering the memory of paying tribute to the memory of P.O. McCann as well. That's just the type of him. It wasn't about him.
Never
like
is.
You have to drag him away from sort of but this interview today is about you, and well done on The Promise. Check out the video, by the way. Search The Promise, David James. It's really put together. It's a great advertisement actually for our beautiful county, and Glencolmcille is a beautiful part of the world. All down there is. So it's out now. It's getting great traction. David's appearing on the TV soon as well. His album's coming out on May 12th, a 12-track album, and a derivative of the BBC is releasing that. He's signed to that label now. What's the name of the label again? Sorry, it's just
Demon Records.
Demon Records. Okay, they handle Daniel as well, don't they?
They do, yeah.
All right, and then you've mentioned where you're playing in the region in the not too distant future as well. Busy summer, is it?
Really busy summer, and even it doesn't stop to the summer. We don't really get a break now until the start of November because...
Yeah, but I'm so old, you see, I don't look that far ahead. It's different for you. You can plan for 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, we've got a great run of festivals over the summer, great run of gigs, and then into the winter we're going back to do my Galway trip again this year in October. Lots of exciting things.
Yeah, and you can check out David James' social media for information on the trip and all the other things that is going on. Listen, continued success onwards and upwards, David. It's great to see things going so well for you, and who's to say the sky is the limit where it's going to go next. But that's an exciting journey for you, isn't it?
Definitely is. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so check out David James there on your streaming platforms to hear The Promise. You can go onto YouTube too and watch that video, search it out there. And as I say, if you want more details on his gigs and trips and what have you, David James, his social media page, Facebook page, all the details there. We're going to give away 15 grand in about 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to roll out the red carpet and celebrate the best and brightest in the business world for the Highland Radio Customer Service Awards in association with PGM Ireland.
From your local community centre to your favourite pet shop or your friendly dentist, we're recognising the businesses who are making a difference in your community.
This award is a great way to show your appreciation for the businesses that make a difference in your life.
But you better act fast. The deadline for entries is just around the corner. So visit our website and nominate now. Nominations close this Friday, the 7th of April.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Go full Lidl for the perfect Easter dinner. Our Board B approved deluxe Irish Angus beef joint, now just $9.49 per kilo. Catch up to 20% off a selection of fresh fish this Good Friday. And award-winning Prosecco Rosé was $12.99, now $7.99. Go on, go full Lidl this Easter. Get the facts by Drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a European city break this summer? Discover the beautiful cities of Barcelona, Cologne and Milan with Ryanair. 6 flights a week for summer 2023. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, let's take a look at that weather forecast. And as I said a little earlier on, it's looking pretty good for today and tomorrow. We'll see what the rest of the week has in store. But for today, a bright and largely dry day with sunny spells and just isolated showers. Highest temperatures of 9 to 10 degrees and a light to moderate northwesterly breeze. We've retained the services of David James for our big draw because we're about to give away a prize worth €15,000 ahead of sales. Sean Quinn has slithered into the joke.
Slithered. I was 3 foot tall yesterday. Now I slithered.
No, you took that from that. It was the camera angle. I never even had a joke about it. I wouldn't do that. But we are here now. It's the culmination of about a month, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just over the month. Yeah.
Okay. And we're about to give away €15,000 in value, €10,000 holiday voucher, €5,000 cash spending money.
Yep.
We've talked about what we do with it, David. Have you anything on your bucket list, a place that you'd want to go?
I would love to go to Vegas. Now, I'm lucky enough to be going to Nashville this May. I'm taking my brother for his 30th, but Vegas is on the bucket list, and also Dubai. And I guess with 10 grand, you could do both. Couldn't you?
Oh, comfortably. Yeah, comfortably.
Yeah, I'd love to do
a couple of times. Yeah, Las Vegas sounds cool. Dubai, love it. I was over there. Brilliant.
Never been to Dubai.
Haven't you? Are the numbers facing you? Because you sound a bit quiet there. Are the numbers on that mic facing you? B1?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that's it. You could do it. Someone's going to do it. So shall we get the draw done now and then we can talk a bit more?
Cool.
Right, so David James is going to do that draw for us now.
During the break, I give this a heap of birds.
Yeah, okay. So as he says, and I watched it, he's rotated it and he's going to dig deep and the hand's going in. And one of you now is about to win 15 grand. What is the winning ticket number?
8080.
Wow, 8080.
Sorry, 08.
Sorry, 0808. 0808 0808.
Yeah, that's 100%. I can verify that is definitely 0808.
Is there an 8080?
No.
Thank God. David, come on, sit down with the ticket.
I had one job.
That's the pressure you're doing a draw.
Say what number it was. I couldn't even do it.
Yeah, no, it's all right as long as there isn't a 08
100%
or 8080 ticket. Okay, so 0808. Someone out there has just won 15 grand in value. Talk to us about the structure of this and who we worked with to put this together, Sean.
Yeah, so for the second year running, we worked with Atlantic Travel, who are based in Letterkenny, and they're fantastic to work with, and it's a huge benefit for the winner because they can work off the experience that Atlantic Travel have in the industry, and especially if you want to go and have 4 or 5 holidays out of this. And I know last year's winner, they were delighted with the service that they were given. So it's great to have them on board.
And what was kind of interesting too, when we did the early draw for a cruise, the fellow that won it had been on a cruise with Atlantic Travel before. It's just because we're such a small community, and that's why people have a good chance of winning. What a coincidence that was. He'd booked a cruise with Atlantic Travel and was going back in now to book a cruise with Atlantic Travel with €1,000 in it.
Yeah, the day he actually came and collected his cheque, he was going down to Atlantic that day to look at the dates. He was in a hurry.
Cruises are such a good experience as well.
Have you done one socially? But there's a bit of a mix when you gig on one, isn't there? Because there's a lot of downtime.
I've never done one socially, but as you say, like we might go out there for a week and maybe do 2 gigs.
I never understand. How do you get that and how does it make money and you get paid? And you
it's fantastic, really. I'm lucky enough to be bringing my mum and dad this year. We're going to Alaska at the very end of May into June.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay. Stay right where you are. Right, okay, let's go to line 1 here because I want to say a quick hello to Michael and Mary. Nellis or Neelis? Is it Mary? Is it
Neelis? Mary T. Neelis, yeah.
Mary T. Neelis. How are you getting on?
Oh, I'm great. I think I'm all the better for hearing you.
Yes, okay. It's been nice to speak to you. What do you think I'm going to say to you, Mary?
Well, I was actually driving there earlier and I heard about the draw being on and I was just thinking, God, wouldn't it be great to win it?
You didn't buy the ticket today, did you?
No, I didn't. I bought it a while back.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to say that. What a story that would be. You've won. Let's get straight to it. You've won €10,000 of a voucher, a holiday voucher, and €5,000 in cash.
€10,000 voucher. Holiday. Oh, I'm letting all the staff know and boys here.
And €5,000 in cash. Are you going to tell them about that?
Oh, and €5,000 in cash.
Am I right, Sean? I don't like the way you're looking at that.
No, 100%
We'll have loads of celebrations today. Thanks a million.
I'm just, what is it, Mary?
Delighted with that.
Mary Neelis, yeah.
Mary T. Neelis is my name. I'm known as Mary T.
Okay. I think
telling me now is not me at all.
30 years in Foy's as well.
Are you married?
That's right, yes, I am indeed. Well, I was actually 27 in Boys and 10 in Decorate Teen before that, so 37 years done.
Right, so you've got a €10,000 voucher now. Any ideas what you might do with it? One big blowout or multiple holidays? Where are you going to take himself?
No, I think I would like multiple holidays now. I think I would like that.
That's
maybe.
What I would do.
Need some time now to think about it.
Well, the staff...
I'm in bad need of a holiday now after all those years' service.
Come here, put the violin away, Mary T, will you? Come here, you have now the staff. You have the staff at Atlantic Travel to work with. They'll look after you.
That's great. I'm delighted. Thanks a million for that. Thanks a lot.
€5,000 in cash as well too. Let's not forget about that.
And cash as well.
And,
brilliant. Thanks a million.
Congratulations, Mary T.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right,
thanks.
fair play to you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. That's Mary T. Neelis there. She's working out in Foy's, is it? She's 27, 30 years there, depending on whether you listen to her or Sean. Her and Michael's name was on the ticket, I believe. They are the winners. Congratulations, Mary T. She's clearly delighted. Why wouldn't you be?
Brilliant.
And it's kind of you're responsible for it, David. That's positive spin now. You know,
I'm telling you,
you literally gave it away. Forget anybody else.
I wonder, does she know that the €5,000 is paid in €1 a week instalments?
Would you please do me a favour and not give Sean Quinn any ideas?
And she has to pay for the postage.
All right, so she's down 10 cents a week.
Yeah.
No, she's not, of course.
It's a good prize, though.
Mary T. Nealis, congratulations. You have won a €10,000 holiday voucher, €5,000 in cash. And we wish you and your partner, Michael, all the health and happiness to enjoy that. And I have a feeling Mary T is going to enjoy it and has put in a good slog working as well in her adult life and deserves it. Thank you, everyone who entered. Sean, you'll echo that, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a huge success again. Thanks to everybody internally for all the work that's been put in. It's as I said, it's there's a lot of work goes into this. It just doesn't happen. So thanks to my team. Thanks to you guys from a presenting point of view, because you've kept the word out there, and thanks to all our listeners for contributing and supporting us, and thanks to the winners, and we look forward to the next one.
Yeah, all right, okay. That's it, I think. Yep, well done, Mary T. Nealis. Love it. I love it when they are happy with it. David, James, thank you very much again for hanging about to do that. You're on this afternoon, are you?
Yeah, chat to you at 2:30.
All right, okay. And Sean, I don't know when I'll speak to you next, but I presume it'll be when you're plugging something.
Probably.
Okay.
Thanks,
before you go, we should mention one more day of voting in the Customer Services Award. So you might just quickly run through that for us.
Kind of last chance saloon for you. If you haven't done it, highlandradio.com, click on the link. It's a pretty easy process. So 6 categories, but it will close tomorrow evening. That's it. When it's done, it's done.
Yeah, okay. And then there's going to be a big event in May. There's 52 categories there. 8, is it, overarching categories?
6. 6 in total.
So you'll find the type of service business that you want to recognise for the work that they are doing. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
I really do appreciate it. Okay, so that's it. That's where we have to leave it on the programme for today. We have music for you tomorrow as the show's off for it being Good Friday. I'm off next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday for a break with the family. Donald Kavanagh will look after you, though. You're in a very safe pair of hands there, of course. And Caroline Orr, who researches and produces, and Anya on hand as well. So I'll chat to you Monday week. Have a wonderful Easter. Again, thank you for everyone who listened and watched the show and got involved in it. As I say, have a great weekend. John Bresson's coming up after the news at 12 around the Northwest.
Serve up a feast